Live now. Hello and welcome to Wantage Road in Northampton. Leicestershire have won the toss and will bat first in the fixture between Leicestershire and Northamptonshire. I'm Dan Jadzovic. I'm joined all evening by Joanne Gardner. How are you, Jo?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Another pleasant evening we've got ahead of us.
Yeah, it's stunning again, isn't it? Couple of changes for Northants tonight. After defeat on Wednesday against Birmingham, they'll be looking to bounce back and pick up their second win of the tournament.
Yeah, they absolutely will. I mean, they played pretty well on Monday at Derby, so they'll be looking to bounce back and certainly get their first home win of the season here.
Yeah, so Vasconcelos misses out tonight, picked up a knock or a bit of an injury in net, and Graham White misses out as well. So Ben Sanderson and Emilio Gay come in. Opportunities for both of those guys. Sanderson picked up a load of wickets last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He performed really well against Leicestershire in both of the fixtures. I think got at least 5 wickets across both of them. He'll be looking to make his mark on his first appearance this year. And yeah, Emilio Gay, I'm looking forward to watching him at the top of the order. Obviously, Ricardo's been batting really well. Scored a couple of 50s already and been one of the mainstays at the top of the order so far for the Steelback. So it'll be good to see Emilio. Obviously, he's packs a lot of promise, hasn't had that much T20 cricket behind him. So it'd be nice to see him get his opportunity tonight.
Yeah, for sure. 12 months ago, roughly, you were here. We couldn't work out whether you were commentating or whether you were here spectating, but it was a pretty good game. Northants came out on top. I think you spoke earlier about the record winning as well.
Yeah, they batted first, posted 227 for one. Chris Lynn, 106 not out, just doing Chris Lynn things. We haven't quite seen that from him yet so far this season, so I'm sure he'll be looking to, target that. And yeah, him and Jimmy Neesham had a massive partnership, so really looking for Chris Lynn to deliver here at his home ground.
Yeah, but we got to bowl first. Leicestershire, on the other hand, similar situation to Northants so far this season. They find themselves in similar places in the table, don't they? They lost to Derbyshire last night at Grace Road. Couple of changes for Leicestershire as well, with Naseem Shah coming into the attack in replace of Dean Mulder. A few other changes as well, but that's a big one. Naveen ul Haq is back as well. He took a bucket full of wickets last year, and obviously Rayan Ahmed in the team too.
Yeah, no, really exciting. I mean, you've obviously got the Afghanistan Naveen ul Haq, who I think taken 50 wickets in his 2 seasons that he's been playing for Leicestershire. And Naseem Shah, obviously young Pakistan fast bowler. I think he made his test debut when he was like 16 or something, and he's absolutely rapid. So it'll be a challenge for the batters, no doubt, but really exciting that we've got that talent to watch. And of course, Rayan Ahmed, another guy that's obviously broken records for the age that he made his England test debut in the winter. So should be good. Should be good.
Excellent. Well, as I say, we're here all evening on commentary, so feel free to stick around. Powered by Dapperbet here at Northamptonshire. I had a chat with Ricardo Vasconcelos, earlier today, and we'll play that now. And
Ricardo, thanks for joining me, mate.
No problem.
Am I allowed to call you Vasco on the way around?
Yeah, you can call me
Amazing,
whatever you want,
thank
really.
You. Oh, but Ricardo Vasconcelos over and over again might be a little bit tough to say. But, I mean, how's things? How are you?
Yeah, all good. Just ticking along, really. It's busy season, so not going to lie, body's a bit sore in places, but most part, all good.
You must be pretty used to that now after a few seasons.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like county grind, is it?
No.
It's like, if you're not playing with some sort of finagle here and there, then you're not really a county cricketer.
True. Like a few people that I've spoken to, it's like I don't think people have the appreciation of just how kind of robust you guys need to be, particularly with the fielding side of it. It's a real kind of hard task to spend the time out there. And I mean, the power that like you guys kind of whack the cricket balls at each other as well. It's a hard game.
Yeah, well, if you don't enjoy your fielding, cricket's not kind of the sport for you, because it's what you do the most, in all honesty. So yeah, it's sometimes not very fun, but you got to kind of make ways to enjoy it and get through it. Otherwise, yeah, you're not going to last very long.
No, very true, very true. So we've come into the Blast now. This is game 5, isn't it, for Northants this season? Obviously, all county championship before that. How is it difficult? Is it easy? How do you go about kind of switching from obviously the longest format to the shortest in such a short period of time?
I think for me specifically, like, my base is always going to be the same. In terms of where you're strong is still going to be where you're strong, and you're just kind of playing the same sort of shots just more often, if that kind of makes sense. Like, balls that you're leaving, you're going to be throwing your bat at it. It's just about, it's more going from the T20 back to the 4-day is the harder one,
Okay.
rather than 4-day to the T20, because then you got to bring your discipline back in, and
Yeah.
you got to start leaving the balls and things like that again. So that's going to be the real test, I think, when we've got one random 4-day
We've got
game
Kent in the middle, haven't we,
in
I think?
between some of our T20s. I think that's where mindset is a bit tough to switch between. When the blast is then done and you go back to the 4-day, it's a bit easier because you can just put it out your mind completely.
Okay.
Whereas if you've still got to you still got to come back to it.
Yeah.
Is where it's a bit tough.
Okay. And I mean, based on, you must be pretty glad to be playing this format, aren't you, this year? Because you missed most of it last year, if not all of it, didn't you?
Yeah, I missed the whole
Whole
T20 thing last year, and I've missed the whole season, I think in 2019, of the blast with injury. So blast has never been my lucky time of year with fitness, but yeah, happy to be out here and happy to be contributing.
Is it a format you enjoy?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like Friday night playing packed house. You can't like replicate that kind of buzz you get from it. So it's fast paced. It's everything people enjoy about cricket, I'd say. So yeah, I love playing in it.
Cool. I mean, it looks amazing kind of down here on a Friday night. I've only had one experience. Obviously, we've got another one later this evening, but it looks like a hell of a lot of fun with like a full crowd, music blaring, lights on. So it's brilliant. 65 against Birmingham on Wednesday night.
Yep.
Some cracking shots, which we'll talk about in just a moment. How's, without sounding like too much of a badger, how's the pitch kind of feeling and playing at the moment? Is it a nice place to bat?
Yeah, we're batting here at home. I think in white ball cricket, we've got some of the best wickets in the country. It's always really good to bat on, good pace, good carry, quick outfield, and it's not the biggest ground in the world. So it is stacked in favour of the batting sides, and that's why I think you see high scoring games in general here. But yeah, I love batting here. It's a pity we haven't been able to put a win on the board yet for the home fans, but hopefully we can make that right later.
Yeah, we saw against Birmingham plenty of cover drives. I suspect your wagon wheel, there was quite a lot through backward point and through
Not sure
point
there was
on that
anything
night. But there was the scoop that you brought out quite early on. How much time do you spend practicing a shot like that? Is that something that you would do a session on, or is that something that you kind of feel is quite instinctive to you?
I think growing up, when you first saw it, I was obsessed with it. So I just played it loads and loads and in like school net sessions and things like that. Nowadays, you work on it in the winter, and then you kind of park it for while the red ball stuff is going. You don't do it, and then you've got 3-4 days build up or whatever to the blast, and then you all of a sudden bring it out again, and then it's just more. For me, it's a confident shot. It's a shot that you got to be brave on, because you got to accept that you might get hit if they follow you or something like that. But yeah, it's something that I've always enjoyed playing, and it's always a good option for me, because even if the guys are back, if you get it over the keeper, no one's stopping it.
Yeah. And Leicestershire tonight, we beat them here last year, didn't we? From memory, I think Chris Lynn got one of his 200s.
Yeah. When
you think about this as a fixture, is there anything that stands out against this game, in this game against Leicestershire, that you look forward to, or what's your kind of thoughts as a group going into the game tonight?
I think tonight is kind of it's pretty much a must win for us tonight to get our T20 season going. We haven't been at the races yet, and tonight's the best opportunity we can get, playing against a side that also hasn't been playing their best cricket in T20 so far. So I think it's going to be a good game. And yeah, as I say, it's a must win for us. We don't really have any other option.
Sure. Well, Vasco, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining me on the lap around Wantage Road. Good luck tonight, and hopefully I'm commentating on a Vasco 100 by the end of the day.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers.
Hello everybody. Welcome back to Wantage Road. We have Northants versus Leicestershire in the T20 Blast tonight. It's a cracking evening. My name is Dan Jadzovic. I'm joined by Jo Gardner, who is furiously adding to her notes as I do the introduction. News from the toss is that Leicestershire have won it. Colin Ackerman and Leicestershire will bat first. So the Steelbacks are in the field. David Willey, no doubt, will take the new ball. And let's hope we get a positive result tonight, Jo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we discussed just off air about 5 minutes ago, that the Steelbacks have just struggled to kind of put a complete performance together, and that's obviously something that they'll be looking to do in front of a home crowd, because it's always been a pretty happy hunting ground here over the last few years, so they'll be looking to get that first one on the board and almost take advantage of the fact that Leicestershire haven't won a game either in this year's Blast. Obviously narrowly defeated last night by a couple of runs against Derby, and I'm sure that will hurt, so hopefully the Steelbacks can get on the board at home after that win that they had on Monday up at Derby,
Which you were there for as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a much better bowling performance, certainly, and it went pretty deep in the end. I think there was a couple of overs left, but it felt like the chase had control. It was well paced. I think we'd only scored maybe 29 off the power play, but then a couple of overs later it was like 60 odd for maybe just the loss of another wicket. So just goes to show that you can easily, claw it back in T20 cricket, as well as from a bowling point of view, obviously put the other team under the pump a bit with a couple of tight overs. So that's the beauty of it, I think, especially with how packed the schedule is as well. Obviously 5th game, still a decent amount of time left in the competition, so yeah, I'm sure the guys will be looking to finish this block of home games before they come back here in a couple of weeks to give themselves momentum for their games on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple of changes for Northants tonight. Vasconcelos with a slight injury, and Graham White misses out tonight. So Chris Lynn will open up with Emilio Gay, captain David Willey carded at 3, Josh Cobb, save, Lewis McManus, Tom Taylor, AJ Tye, James Sales, Ben Sanderson, and the wrist spin of Freddie Heldrick. Are your Steelbacks for tonight? Anybody in that lineup there, Jo, that kind of takes your eye, that you kind of think is a big day for them?
I think it's going to be Chris Lynn's day today.
Yep.
I'm calling that. He's got himself in a couple of times already this year. Like even at Derby, he was striking it well. I think last week, and even the first game against the Rapids, I think he got 28 or 14 balls and was looking ominous, and then almost just gave his wicket away by just hitting it down the fielder at deep square's throat. So I'm sure he'll be looking to make amends and really kickstart his Blast campaign for Steelbacks, that's for sure. So I'm backing him.
Yeah,
What about you?
Honestly, I'd love to see a few of those cricket balls disappear over in those gardens. That would be a lot of fun to watch. I'm kind of going for a bit of David Willey tonight, Jo. I kind of feel like there's a quick bucket of runs there for David Willey to get tonight, and haven't quite seen him get the wickets with the new ball just yet so far this competition. I think he's looked really threatening though. Like he's had a lot of shape, but just hasn't quite got the reward from it yet. So it's a big night, I think, for Dave Willey.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think he's had he's batted well, but then not necessarily kicked on, which is obviously what you want from one of your top 4. So hopefully a big night for the skipper. But yeah, he's definitely bowled well without reward, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Early on in that power play, and we know that that's his biggest threat, that's for sure. It's set to be a cracker.
It looks absolutely stunning out there. Leicestershire, they've made a few changes from their defeat last night to Derbyshire, so they'll line up with Lewis Hill and Nick Welch at the top of the order. Rishi Patel, Colin Ackerman, Lewis Kimber, Rayan Ahmed in the middle. Wicketkeeper Harry Swindles, Callum Parkinson, the 2 pace superstars in Naveen ul Haq and Naseem Shah, and then Josh Hull to round out their 11. I mean, Naveen and Naseem are about as exciting as it gets, Jo. I think when it comes to T20 seamers, those guys are high quality and high class.
Yeah, they sure pack a punch, don't they? I think, age 20 and age 23 potentially, it's really exciting time for them in their careers, and they've actually played quite a lot of T20 cricket despite being so young, which I think is probably a reflection of just how talented they are. Naveen's obviously already had a couple of years of success playing for Leicestershire, and Nazim's obviously come in for the injured Vian Mulder after playing the opening 3 games, I think, for the Foxes. So it'll be interesting to see how they go in tandem, to be fair. I'm not sure they certainly wouldn't have expected to be playing out there together. But yeah, no, exciting. But at the same time, you hope that the Steelbacks can show them what they're about at the top of the order. That is for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been pretty fruitful for leg spinners here at Wantage Road so far this season. We saw Worcestershire, I think they picked up 6 with Osama Mir and Brett D'Oliveira. Sauter picked up 5 and should have been 6, barring a drop catch down on the boundary. You'll have to forgive me, I don't think... Oh, Jake Lintop was the wristy, wasn't he, for Birmingham? But I don't think he had a particularly fruitful evening, did he?
No, he didn't get any wickets. I think he was pretty shrewd. I think he only went for... He bowled a couple of overs. I think he only went for 9 or something like that. So effective, but didn't necessarily pick up the wickets that you've obviously mentioned.
And I mean, Freddie Heldrick for Northants, he's come back into this squad, hasn't he, after missing that first week of fixtures, and bowled really well and picked up some big wickets, and picked up 2 against Birmingham, and possibly should have been 3, but picked up the massive wicket at Glenn Maxwell. Yeah,
you take that, wouldn't you? Take getting Glenn Maxwell out first ball, that is for sure. And he got a wicket with his first ball of the campaign up at Derby. He bowled Anuj Dal. So yeah, he's looked really promising since he's come back into the team for his couple of games so far. So yeah, obviously having that, it's a point of difference, isn't he, Freddie Heldrick, in that he's a left arm wrist spinner, which obviously is super important in these T20 games. But talking of leg spin, you know that Leicestershire have obviously got Rayan Ahmed, and also not to be underestimated, the slow left arm spin of Callum Parkinson.
Yeah,
he's definitely one to note, I think, in terms of the Foxes bowlers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people wax lyrical, don't they, about Rayan, and I don't think we need to blow his trumpet any more than what people are doing. But he is going to be an absolute superstar for the future. But Freddie will be the wristy who's going to bowl first here tonight as the players make their way out onto the field. If you're interested, the win predictor powered by Intelligent Cricket before a ball's been bowled is currently Steelbacks 59.1, Foxes 40.9. So in favour of our boys tonight, which is an encouraging sign, isn't it?
It's always a good place to start, that's for sure. I think it's been in favour of them the other 2 times we've been on air. Obviously hasn't gone our way in those times, but a few changes to the team from the last time we were here last week, so maybe that will bring a change in the fortunes of the Steelbacks here at Wantage Road.
Yeah, players down there signing a few of these mini helmets that are hanging about. It's always funny watching the kids that head out there for like the pre-match kind of, you know, when they walk out with the mascot and then they get a little bit confused as to where they need to run to afterwards. There was one lad out there just a minute ago that was kind of looking around going, am I meant to go left or right here? I'm not quite sure. But they've made their way off. And that looks to me like Ben Sanderson, Joe, is going to open the bowling tonight from the David Capel end for Northants, with Emilio Gay stationed at first slip. So hoping for a bit of swing. I've not seen Ben Sanderson play a T20. I've seen him play plenty of Red Bull stuff so far this season. Is it a similar kind of experience?
Yeah, you know, he's like that slight pace. He's not going to beat the batters for pace, but obviously we know how much he nibbles it around, and so you can see Emilio Gay standing there in the slips there. But yeah, he's been pretty effective times gone by.
Well, here we go, Ben Sanderson, and straight on the money, defended back down. The pitch from the Leicestershire opener.
But one thing he won't be afraid to do is throw in their little surprise bouncer.
Okay.
We've seen that quite a bit. We saw that quite a bit last year with Ben Sanderson. Obviously not quite as quick as James Sale's surprise bouncer.
Yeah, we got Safe Sabe lurking down at deep backward square for that one, just in case. And inside edge, that's bowled him. Nick Welch goes for nothing. Ben Sanderson straight into the game, straight into the attack, and gets his campaign off with a wicket with his second ball. What a start.
Fantastic, just doing what he does, hitting that top of off stump. We've seen of Ben Sanderson so many times in red ball cricket.
Just coming off the seam, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, I think it may have just nipped back slightly. Excellent start for Ben Sanderson's 2023 Vitality Blast campaign, though.
Superb. 2 balls, 1 wicket. Keep that strike rate up and we could be in for a 2 points for the Steelbacks tonight. So Rishi Patel is the new man for the Foxes. He will join Lewis Hill at the crease. Score none for 1. Rishi has had a phenomenal start to the county championship, Joe. He's leading the runs in Division 2. I think he's 2nd overall in the country as well in red ball cricket. Moved up from Essex. Apparently he's a really, really nice guy as well.
Yeah, I see that he's obviously top of the run scoring charts. I think he's actually their leading run scorer in the Blast as well this year.
Defended into the leg side that time. I think he started this season at 6 and has been promoted obviously up to 3 in the last couple of games. I think he's, as you said, I think he's had a good couple of scores batting at 3. 6 was probably a little bit too low for him.
Yeah, definitely, especially when, as you've already alluded to, he's kind of hit his straps in the red ball game already this year.
Punched down to mid-on for nothing. Match sponsor today is Stanair, so thanks to Stanair for their sponsorship of today's game. The stream powered by Dafabet as usual. Not sure whether Safe is doing some looseners there to bowl the 2nd over or not, but surely it's got to be David Willey from the Lynn Wilson Centre end. On the money again from Ben Sanderson. 4 dot balls and a wicket so far in this over. What a start.
Brilliant start, yeah, he's hit his areas nicely. Again, just what the Steelbacks would have been after, that is for sure. Certainly, you can't underestimate, obviously he's coming in for his first game of the campaign. There'll be a little bit of nerves jangling about. I'm sure, obviously he's a very high quality player, but
oh, inside edge this time, and Rishi Patel gets off the mark with a single, fielded by Chris Lynn. End of the 1st over, Ben Sanderson picking up the wicket of Nick Welsh, and Leicestershire are 1 for 1.
Certainly greeted by one of the warmest applause we've seen here at the county ground so far this season. Excellent start from Sanderson.
He was
Safe Sable's just winding you up, obviously, is definitely going to be David Willey from
yeah, he spent most of his day yesterday winding me up, so he might as well carry on. David Willey, as Joe said, will bowl from the Lynn Wilson Centre end, so he will be looking to back up Ben Sanderson with the new ball. As we said earlier, bowled very, very well with a lot of movement, hasn't he, so far this season, without the reward that he's deserved so far. And that is down the ground from Rishi Patel. He's going to pick up another one. Bit of a misfield, but no harm done. Very experienced seam attack for the Steelbacks tonight, isn't it? With AJ Tye, David Willey, both with vast amounts of international experience. Ben Sanderson with Tom Taylor too, with a bit of a firecracker in James Hales, just to spice things up a little bit.
Yeah, they've played a hell of a lot of T20 cricket between Willey, Sanderson and Tye, that is for sure.
Defended successfully, Louis Hill with his first ball of the evening. I wonder if there's any kind of ego in the dressing room as to who's played the most amount of T20s. Do you reckon the messages go around? Kind of how many games have you played? How many fixtures have you got in? Oh, it tries to ramp it over McManus, but misses out. Quite a creative shot, 2nd ball of the innings.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And Lewis Hill, he's someone that he's on his seasonal debut in the Blast this year. Obviously, signs of intent from him clearly there.
Oh, outside edge past the diving McManus. first boundary of the evening for Leicestershire. It was a definite chance. McManus couldn't quite get across. That would have been a Superman catch. But Lewis Hill is off the mark. Oof, not far away, Joe.
And you just wonder, the ball before, they obviously had the slip in, didn't they? You just wonder if Emilio Gay...
Would have gone straight to him, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I reckon it would have done. There's a chance, promising signs still.
Goes for the invention again, but misses out once more. No fielder on the boundary down over, I think that's Freddie Heldrick on the 45. So the shot is on if Lewis Hill can connect, but as yet hasn't been able to do so.
Just the 541 matches between Willie, Ty, Sanderson. That's just T20 cricket alone.
Oh, tickle again. Lewis Hill picks up his second boundary. No, he doesn't. That's a leg by, in fact. 10 for 1 off the first 2 overs then. A little bit sloppy on line there from David Willey, but the shape with the new white ball was encouraging.
Yeah, he's just started his line a little bit too much on, well, it's probably just outside the leg stump and then going down the leg side, wasn't it? And that's why it's gone so fine off of Lewis Hill's pad for 4. Sanderson gets another one though.
Rightly so. Sanderson to Rishi Patel. And that's whipped into the leg side down to safe save, square leg, and that'll just be a single. Ben Sanderson was the Steelbacks' leading wicket taker last year in the Blast, Joe, with 16 wickets. Was it a surprise to you to not see him feature earlier in this competition?
Yeah, potentially, although I know he was kind of nursing that hamstring niggle, I think, that we saw him miss the last championship game, didn't it? The last couple of championship games, I can't remember how many he missed. So maybe that had something to do with it.
Lewis Hill down the ground and drops that one into the leg side. They're going to come back for 2. There is a chance at the non-strikers end. Oh, it's not sure how close that would have been, but no harm done. And 2 runs to Lewis Hill there, safe save, doing the fielding down at deep square. He was meant, well, if he wasn't playing, I believe Ben was joining us in the commentary box tonight, so fortunately he's out there taking wickets instead. Down the ground, leading edge, oh, it's down. Josh Cobb has dropped one at backward point. Lewis Hill picks up a couple of runs and gets a life. Josh Cobb with an absolute screamer on Wednesday night down on the boundary against Birmingham, and that is a leading edge that's flown through to Josh Cobb at backward point, but that has been grassed.
Yeah, you can see how he's probably at least, well, by the time that catch was there for him to take, he was a good 5 or 10 yards in from the 30-yard circle, so must have flown at him. Yeah, it was absolute screamer, wasn't it? The cameras could barely keep up, I think. It was a pretty good catch on Wednesday night, that's for sure, but he'll be disappointed. Usually keeps hold of him, and that's something that's escaped the Steelbacks a little bit so far this season. We have seen quite a few shell catches already. I'm sure Graham White, the fielding coach, will be getting onto them about that.
Down the ground and short, over the keeper McManus, and Lewis Hill picks up another 4. Short ball, that surprise short ball that Joe was talking about from Ben Sanderson. Just sat up a little bit, didn't it, for Lewis Hill? I think he got a top edge on that just popped over Lewis McManus and picks up another boundary. So 15 for 1 now the score, which I think might be 19 for 1.
Always playing catch up, isn't it, the scoreboard?
It is.
Action goes too quick for it to saw its little algorithm out.
It's really hard as well to kind of look out of the window as to what's going on and make sure you clock the score before the ball gets bowled as well. Dot ball to finish Ben Sanderson's second over. So 19 for 1 then the score after 3. Lewis Hill on 12, Rishi Patel on 3. Couple of chances created for the Steelbacks to go with the 1 wicket that Ben Sanderson's picked up so far, the drop catch in that over, and the outside edge that David Willey extracted in his last over that went past the diving Lewis McManus. So positive signs for the Steelbacks in these first 3.
Yeah, and one thing I would say is that they've struggled with their timing when they have tried to almost play those expansive shots. So yeah, it's certainly promising signs for the Steelbacks. They'll be looking to get another 1 or 2 more wickets in this power play.
So David Willey to Rishi Patel. That's full Yorker almost as Rishi Patel looks to, I think he tried to sweep that, but didn't quite get the length that he wanted, did he, to play that shot?
Yeah, no, definitely a little bit too full to sweep, but I don't mind seeing the intent and invention from Rishi Patel. Obviously a man that must be pretty confident and back in his game at the moment, that's for sure.
Full again, Yorker, Lewis Hill digs that one out and picks up a single down to AJ Ty, who does the fielding. So 2 singles off the first 2 balls of David Willey's over. Not sure how I'd feel if I was a seamer, watching the batter try and sweep me. Kind of, that might feel like a bit of a damage to my ego, I think, if I was a big angry fast bowler.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's a bit of an ego dent, isn't it? It's something I've tried a few times in the nets, to be fair, just because I feel like if you pull it off, you look like absolute gun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Worth practicing. Whether I actually execute in a game is a completely different kettle of fish.
Gives himself a bit of space. David Willey followed him well there as he's pulled that one into the leg side and picks up another single. How have they come off in the nets? Have they worked?
Well, there was one session I had, I don't know if it was last winter or the winter before, where I was on the bowling machine. Obviously everything's a little bit easier on the bowling machine anyway, but I was absolutely smoking them and I was so pleased. But in the nets it's always a little bit harder when you're outside on a grass wicket, right? Yeah.
Down the ground, that is over the fielder, AJ Ty, and that's a 1 bounce for Leicestershire. First bit of true timing there from Lewis Hill, I would say, as he's played that one straight down the ground.
Yeah, he's just helped himself to a over-pitched ball from David Willey. Don't get me wrong, I think he might have gone a little bit deep in his crease to almost create that half volley length for himself, but excellent shot with mid-on up inside the circle.
And he goes again, it's straight up, and that is over what would be the slip cordon. David Willey stands in the middle of the pitch with a double teapot, and Lewis Hill picks up another 4.
I find that one a little bit more interesting, especially knowing that he's got a deep square leg on the boundary, and that was on the replay. You can see how square he's trying to hit this ball when he's had success the previous ball going straight. So it's interesting from Lewis Hill.
It's worked so far. Short this time from David Willey. That's up, and that's all the way for 6. First 6 of the evening here at Wantage Road goes to Leicestershire and Lewis Hill. Short ball from David Willey. Lewis Hill up to the task, and that goes all the way for 6. Score is 36 for 1. Lewis Hill 27, Rishi Patel 5 off 8. How was Lewis Hill's season last year? Have you got those numbers to hand? Or if you haven't, don't worry.
No, I have. He played every game last year, so 14 games, 195 runs, an average of 17, striking at 130 with just the 150.
Ben Sanderson into his 3rd then. Rishi Patel down the ground, that's gone up. This should be out. It is out. Northants pick up their 2nd wicket. Ben Sanderson gets his 2nd, and Rishi Patel is on his way back to the pavilion for 5. 36 for 2 now. Good comeback from Northants.
Yeah, definitely, and that's a tactic we've seen a few times from the Foxes batters, just coming down the wicket against Ben Sanderson. But think certainly against Sanderson they struggled a bit with their timing, and yeah, Rishi Patel's obviously just skied that one in the air and comfortably taken. Lovely start for Ben Sanderson, and it's really not very often that you'd see a seamer definitely bowling 3 overs in the power play. So David Willey obviously back in his experienced Yorkshireman.
I suppose with the options that David Willey and the Stillbacks have got this evening, would there be a chance if Ben Sanderson doesn't bowl his overs at the top of the innings that he might not come back later on with Sales and Ty and Taylor with Willey himself? There's a lot of bowling there, isn't there? And Colin Ackerman is off the mark straight away. Now this is the man that the Stillbacks will be desperate to see the back of. He led the scoring for Leicestershire last year with 367. International cricketer as well, just to kind of throw that into the mix. I think he was player of the match, wasn't he, against South Africa down in the World T20 when the Netherlands beat South Africa last winter. Quality player has joined Lewis Hill at the crease. And Lewis Hill drops that one into the leg side. They'll be looking for 2. Colin Ackerman says no and sends him back. I think that might be Safe Saib's 4th or 5th pair of trainers that he's wearing so far through the Blast campaign.
I've got an interesting one for you on the trainers. Obviously,
oh yeah, go on.
We've seen Safe Saib rocking the bright green fluorescent ones. We've seen Josh Cobb rocking a bright blue pair. Now, my Sunrisers teammate Amara Carr, she was so pleased with this bright orange pair that she got for herself. She was wearing them in the warm-up before we played on Wednesday.
Yeah. And gone, middle stump, Ben Sanderson, the big sellies, Colin Ackerman, the big wicket is gone for 1. Huge start for the Stillbacks, 37 for 3 as the Leicestershire captain makes his way back. What a start.
Terrific start from Ben Sanderson. 3 wickets for him already, 3 wickets here in the fixture last year, but to get 3 wickets yourself in the power play is no mean feat. I'm not sure how many times he would have done that in his T20 Blast career, and even better when you see that middle stump cartwheeling out the ground, especially when it's the Leicestershire danger man, Colin Ackerman. Didn't even get a chance to talk about him. That's how well Ben Sanderson has bowled in his first 3 overs tonight.
It's just nipped back, isn't it, off the seam, I think, that's done for Colin Ackerman there. And middle stump, full pint, cartwheeling backwards. So go on, carry on your story about Amara Carr's bright orange.
So
is she likely to be listening as you're in the process of stitching her up
She might be. Depends if she's had enough of my voice. We've spent quite a lot of time together in the past week or so.
Well, we can edit this out and send it to her anyway. So
she'll love it anyway. Right, slip comes back in. I love that.
Oh, big appeal. I don't know why I started appealing as well. I felt like I was part of the team. I've got a Northants shirt on. What can I say?
So
Umpire
excited.
not interested. Was there a little bit of bat on that?
I think there might have been.
It might have been sliding down as well for good measure. Maybe it's because I didn't finish my appeal, Joe. Maybe that was the problem.
Yeah, it's you. You're the problem. It's you. As that Taylor Swift song goes.
You didn't fancy singing it along?
No, absolutely not. We're just too excited in the box here tonight.
It's been a great start, isn't it? Ben Sanderson, the last ball of his 3rd over. And that is successfully defended by Lewis Kimber, who's joined Lewis Hill at the crease. A massive round of applause rolls around Wantage Road for Ben Sanderson, his first appearance in the T20 Blast this season for Northampton. He's got 3 for 12 off 3 overs.
Yeah, excellent for him. Takes himself into joint 3rd in leading wicket takers for Northants in the Blast. 70 wickets, joint with Azarullah, who would be prolific amongst the Northants faithful back when they won their first Vitality Blast trophy back in 2013. Azarullah had an excellent campaign and was leading wicket taker back then, I think. So, yep, Sanderson has moved into joint 3rd of Azarullah with those 3 wickets so far tonight, and we're going to see Tom Taylor bowl the last over of the power play. And he has been probably the pick of the bowlers in the power play so far, the Stillbacks, hasn't he?
He has
just worked out into I thought that had gone quite a lot finer, and it's actually gone in front of square out to Ben Sanderson.
I think Freddie Heldrick might have sold you a bit of a dummy there, the way he started sprinting in for the ball. But I do agree with you. I thought that had gone a touch finer than what that had.
Anyway, I'm going to come back to the shoe story. Right.
Well, every time you start talking about it, the Steelbacks pick up a wicket. So
exactly.
let's talk about it for the next
see how
7.
long we can drag it out for.
Yeah.
Slip comes back in as well for the new batter Kimber, who's on his seasonal debut for the Foxes. Play and a miss through to keeper McManus. Yeah, he's looked a bit nervy in his free balls, would you say, Louis Kimber?
Yeah, well, I think 3 down for 40, having seen the ball nip about like it has so far in this power play, I think you've got every right to be a bit nervy.
He'll get off the mark there, though, with a little push up to AJ Tye, mid-off. Yep, Tom Taylor, he's a leading wicket taker for the Steelbacks so far this year with the 5 wickets. Yeah, so Mars has got this bright orange pair of spikes. She's wearing them in the warm-up before we start our game, just to try and wear them in. Sue Redfern, who was match official for our game, comes over. Quick single turned down from the Foxes. Another tidy start here from Tom Taylor. But yeah, Sue Redfern came over to her in the warm-up and basically told her that she wasn't allowed to wear them because they didn't have enough white on the shoe. So they were bright orange, they didn't have enough white on the shoe. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I've seen Saif, I've seen Josh wearing these bright coloured shoes that have got no white on them, the same as Mars. I thought, that's a joke, that can't be right. Anyway, turns out it's an ECB reg. It's just going to be 1 to Lewis Hill. Final ball of the power play coming up. Yeah, they told her that she couldn't wear them. I thought, how can that be right? Like, I've literally seen them wear it in men's game. They're obviously not enforcing it in the men's game.
Well, they're both wearing white shoes tonight.
Something must have happened since Wednesday. Maybe Sue's had a word with the other ECB match officials to try and enforce it.
So what you're saying...
Half-hearted a shout for LBW, but they'll just come through for a leg bye, and 42 for 3 at the end of the power play of the Foxes, and that is a brilliant start for the Steelbacks. I think, yeah, definitely their best bowling power play of the year so far, surpassing 47 for 2 that they had Derby for, and we all know the outcome of that game, so hopefully that'll be a good omen. Yeah, I was just gutted for her, to be honest. Obviously, splash out on a brand new pair of shoes, thinking, yeah, add in a lot of flair. And then you find out they haven't got the required amount of white colour on them. It's just bizarre. So I think she's got to try and wangle away and try and send them back or something. Ben Sanderson's going to finish his spell. That's been absolutely smoked. I think that's going to be 6. Up onto the groundsman's hut. Well, if we thought Louis Kimber was looking a bit edgy at the start of his innings, he certainly put those doubters to bed, because he's nailed that one off Ben Sanderson. Just picked up the length, held the pose, watched it sail over the ropes for 6. Good shot.
Smoked it. Brings a change in the field as well. James Sales has gone out onto the boundary at deep mid-wicket.
Gives himself room this time. Does Kimber, but that'll just be 1 out to Josh Cobb on the cover sweeping boundary. Yep, obviously out of the power play now, so 5 men allowed outside the 30-yard circle. Yeah, what do you think to that?
What about shoes?
The shoes, yeah.
I mean, I think there might be bigger things that need sorting out in cricket before we start talking about people's trainers. Well, no, not well. We've been talking about people's trainers, but I don't see it being that big of an issue, Joe. I'll be completely honest with you.
Well, I'm glad you're on the same page as me, Dan. Be at least 1 for them here. Good running. 2 turned down. Probably wisely from Lewis Hill to send Kimber back. See the Foxes 50 come up in the 7th over.
Yeah, I don't think they were coming back for 2 there at all, were they? Not with white, blue, green, yellow or pink trainers on. I don't think that was on at all.
Yeah, no one's got their Go Faster shoes on tonight because they're not allowed anymore. Oh, and well, for a moment I thought we could have been in for a catch on the deep mid-wicket boundary, and it's been signalled as 4, so I don't know if it's gone over Save's head. Just have a look at that. Did it go for 6?
I thought that went.
4?
I thought that went all the way, Joe. I thought that was like frozen rope flat, straight over Save's head.
He was in off the rope, and it's just gone over his head. But
hard to tell, isn't it?
well, it'll be 1 here. We think it's been given as a 4. Which, when that happens to you as a fielder out on the rope, you're always feeling a little bit embarrassed. I must admit, I've been there myself. You coming in, he's obviously come. It's a big boundary out there, so he's obviously in off the rope to try and save the 2. You would imagine. That's just beating him over his head. 1 bounce for 4. So final ball with Ben Sanderson's spell. Slower ball, pace taken off of that one, and he finishes with a dot. Tidy figures for Sanderson, greeted by his home applause. 3 for 25 off of his 4 overs. What a way to start off your Blast campaign. Not too shabby at all.
No, slightly spoilt, wasn't it, with the last over, with those couple of boundaries coming, including that monster 6 over towards the groundsman's shed. But what a comeback into the team, as you said. Those first 3 overs were, well, practically unplayable. And I will say, I thought that last boundary, my initial thought it did go all the way for 6, but equally I think Safe was fielding where he was meant to be fielding. I don't think it was a case of he was meant to be on the rope, but had come in too far. I think, as you said, that the tactic was don't let them have 2, which is obviously kind of gone against them in that instance.
So we see Freddie Heldrick for the first time tonight, and that one's gone up in the air. Is there going to be a catch? Fielders converging, and it's dropped in the middle of all 3 of them. Freddie Heldrick, James Sales and AJ Ty just dropped to the edge of the ring. We thought Freddie Heldrick was going to be in for a wicket with his first ball again, as we saw against Derby on Monday afternoon. Promising signs for Freddie Heldrick if they're going to look to go after him.
Yeah, nice little 60-degree flop shot that, wasn't it? I think Lewis Kimber just finished pin high there at mid-wicket.
Sweeping,
and that is out. Sorry.
Is he bowled him?
I think he stumped him, Joe. I think Lewis McManus has
a sharp bit of work.
Tidied up.
Yeah, great bit of work there from Lewis McManus. You're absolutely right, Dan. Hill, 31 off of 21 balls for him, but Freddie Heldrick comes into the attack and instantly makes an impact, just as he has been doing in his couple of games we've seen from him already this season. And the in-batter, Lewis Hill, has to go. It's an excellent bit of work from Lewis McManus there.
Really tidy, wasn't it? I think he only had 1 dismissal, I think, so far in this Blast competition. So he'll be thrilled to pick up the second one. As you said, a really smart bit of bowling. I wonder whether Freddie saw the batter go down to play that sweep shot and did just kind of fire that one in a little bit wider as well to make it slightly more difficult.
Yeah, potentially just a bit quicker and wider to bring that stumping into play. But yeah, stumping in the previous game, Lewis McManus, I think it was off the captain Alex Davis against the Birmingham Bears. So yeah, he'll be pleased to pick up his second dismissal of the campaign, as we see Rayan Ahmed coming out to bat for the Foxes, and we know how much potential he packs in both red ball and white ball cricket. It's a decent start, isn't it, to receive first up. Little play and a miss.
He's had a great start to the competition, hasn't he, Freddie Heldrick? As I said earlier, missed out on those first 2 games here at Wantage Road, but has rewarded and justified his selection when he's come back into the team.
Ahmed just gives himself his room, and that's going to be 4. Timed nicely through extra cover. Yeah, just a bit shorter from Freddie Heldrick, a little bit of width, but created by Rayyan Ahmed, and he's just slapped that through the covers for 4. His first boundary, gets himself off the mark. Career best last night for the Foxes in T20 cricket, Rayyan Ahmed, 28 off 14 balls. Hit his first ball for 6. Not tonight.
Well,
He's in. Did you see that shot he played?
I didn't
first
actually
ball?
know.
It's like an uppercut for 6. It's pretty impressive.
He is going to be one cricketer that I think a lot of people are going to be paying to watch for a long time to come.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people say, obviously he was in the England team mainly for his leg spin, as we know. He's driven that out, and he'll come through for a single to finish the over. But brilliant start from Freddie Heldrick, just the 6 runs conceded, and that big wicket of Lewis Hill. Yeah, a lot of people have kind of touted his batting, saying, like, watch out for this kid's batting because it might actually be better than his leg spin. And I know he's a very very talented family. I think he's got a couple of younger brothers who are in a system up at Notts, I think. One of them bowls right arm leggies, one of them bowls left arm seam, I think. So they all pack a different punch. And I was at the Cricket Writers Club dinner last year as AJ Tye is coming into the attack for his first over of the evening. Starts off with a dot. Yeah, and I'm not sure which younger brother it was of Rayyan Ahmed. Basically, one of them won an award, and they asked him why he bowls right arm leg breaks or left arm seam. I can't remember which one it was. But he was like, "Well, if we both want to play for England, we've got to offer different skill sets to be in the same team." I was like, "Yeah, fair enough. Rate that."
It's a strong answer.
Short from Tye. Slapped out towards safe save, but deep mid-wicket.
Well, he's got a job on tonight though, isn't he, Rayyan? Because he's in probably a lot earlier than what he would have expected to have been. There's still 12 overs left in the innings, and as you said, he struck at 200 yesterday. Was he the original? He wasn't the original Nighthawk, was he, for the Test team? But he certainly got the bump up the order in that second innings in Karachi on his Test debut. He did need to have a bit of a dip.
Yeah, outside edge from Kimber there, down towards the third man, Freddie Heldrick. Yeah, I think did he go in at 3 or something in that Test match?
Yeah.
To go and have a dip, like you say. But that shows he's obviously whacks it in the nets, and I'm sure we'll see him in international colours for a good decade or so. Obviously only 18. Slower ball, one of AJ Tye's many tricks, just nudged out towards mid-wicket for a single there.
Yeah, Rayyan, as he said, he's played all 3 formats for England now, hasn't he? With, funnily enough, taking the title of the youngest player to do on every one of those occasions as well. He would have played the T20s in Bangladesh in March, which would have completed his hat-trick. But let's talk more about the Steelbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has been a much better start from AJ Tye, perhaps being a little bit expensive in the campaign so far. He's taken 5 wickets, but he's been going just under 11s, so I'm sure that will be something that he'll be looking to rectify. And he started off strongly in this over. He'll be looking to get out of it here. And that'll push for 2, I would imagine. But they'll just get the single, and that's a very good start, isn't it? Backing up that over that we saw from Freddie Heldrick, and the Foxes 65 for 4 at the end of the 9th over. It's been a good start from the Steelbacks.
Yeah, it has. They've created this situation now, haven't they, where Leicestershire and the Leicestershire Foxes do need to be a little bit more watchful, a little bit more respectful in these middle overs. They're not going to be able to be as aggressive as maybe what they would like to be. And as you said, the reward from Ben Sanderson's work earlier on this evening that's being backed up really well by Freddie and AJ.
Here he is again. Full toss. And that will be a 6. Greeted by Freddie Heldrick. I think they're just questioning whether or not it was a no ball, but square leg umpire saying that it fell below the waist height. So just a 6, not a no ball. That probably got what it deserved, to be fair, didn't it?
Yeah, I think that's pretty close to being above waist height.
It's a good response from Freddie Heldrick, just going across the right-handed Louis Kimber there. Yeah, 3 wickets across the previous 2 games for Freddie. Oh, and that's an excellent shot. Inside out, over, long off from Kimber for 6. That was a glorious cricket shot.
Wow.
Not the worst delivery you're going to see either. It was a little bit full perhaps, but he just adjusted himself to create that angle to get it over wide, long off. Brilliant shot. Kimber moves on to 28.
Hold the pose. That's going to look good as a social media profile picture, that shot, isn't it?
Bit flatter from Heldrick this time. Just gets a single. Couple of balls left in the over. Kimber moves on to 29. Yeah, that was glorious. One of the best shots I've seen up here, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of many that are going to compete with it.
Full, tossed up from Heldrick. Ahmed's on the drive, but just goes to David Willey. Extra cover on the 30-yard circle. Hit hard out towards the sweeper on the cover boundary. Will they come back for 2? Yes, they do. Not a bad finish to the over. Obviously with those 2 sixes, the most expensive one of the innings so far. And at the halfway point, the Foxes are 80 for 4.
Don't know how easy that would have been for Save to have got that down to Lewis McManus, but I think there was a chance for a run out there, Joe. I think Rayan Ahmed slipped at the non-striker's end and would have been a long way short, I think, if Save had managed to get the ball up that end. Obviously that would have added a fair few yards back into that throw, but there was a chance. I think McManus was desperate for that ball to be coming into his gloves. James Sales is going to bowl the 11th over then. He's replacing AJ Tye. And that is down the leg side. Obviously a bit of something on it. An appeal from Lewis McManus. Must have been a bit of pad on the way through there. So the Intelligent Cricket win predictor, Joe, is 68.2 Steelbacks and 31.8 Foxes. That's just come back up slightly for the Foxes, hasn't it, after that last over with those 2 sixes, but I think that's fair so far.
Yeah, I reckon so. I think at this stage of the game, obviously this partnership you probably feel is a fairly significant one in the context of this innings for the Foxes. Certainly Kimber's striking them nicely now, but the 4 wickets are definitely handy for the Steelbacks.
Short ball from James Sales down the leg side and signalled wide. I thought there might have been a bit of batter on the end of that, Joe, where that died on the into the floor as that went past.
I thought that was a little bit harsh, but James Sales didn't seem too bothered by it, so perhaps not.
Followed Lewis Kimber well there, and just going to pick up 1. Emilio Gay doing the fielding down on the boundary.
He bowled excellent on Monday, really well. Just conceded the 16 off his 4 overs and got his first T20 wicket for Northants. Did James Sales. Yeah, he bowled really nicely on Monday.
chance for a run out, but Tom Taylor doesn't pick it up clean. For those of you that weren't watching the Sky broadcast in the week, James Sales is in fact the son of David Sales. It was mentioned once or twice, but just in case you missed it, I thought I'd throw you that little nugget of information for you this evening as he comes into Lewis Kimber. And that is short, and it's straight up in the air. Sales is underneath it, and he's had 2 goes at it, and that has been dropped by James Sales.
Underestimating how difficult a catch that would have been, but he got himself in a good position underneath the ball, high hands, hence why he was actually afforded the opportunity to try and catch it twice from the position he got himself in. But yeah, just unfortunate to let that one slip through James Sales, but a good over nonetheless. Just the 4 came off of that one, backing up the way that he's bowled so far this campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tom Taylor is back from the Lynn Wilson centre end. That is outside off stump. That's cut away. That's going to beat the fielder on the boundary, and that's going to be 4 more to Lewis Kimber. 88 for 4 now the score. Put away nicely.
Yep, Kimber moves on to 35. His surpassing his highest from last year. I think his high score was only 30 in the few games he played last year.
Full toss and into the leg side. Rayan Ahmed comes back for 2. AJ Tye does the fielding. Successfully comes back for the second. So 2 more for Kimber.
I think he slipped again there.
I think he
when
did,
he was turning, Rayan Ahmed. Maybe he needs some of those flare spikes.
Not allowed to wear them anymore, Joe.
Those green ones would probably go right with their kit, to be fair.
I think they'd look pretty smart, but clearly deemed illegal. What's going to be really embarrassing though is those 3 or 4 pairs that you ordered. I mean, what are you going to do when they turn up on your doorstep this week?
It's just stinking behaviour, isn't it, really?
Anyway, Tom Taylor to Lewis Kimber, and that is muscled down the ground. Just 1 this time. Bit of a misfield from AJ Tye. He threw Rayan Ahmed a bit of a dummy, but they didn't take the bait.
Yeah, what do they say? Never run on a misfield.
We've all been there.
Yep, and been run out as well. Standard.
Has that continued after your experience at Lords, or slower ball? And that's been given as a no ball, I think, Joe.
I think it might have landed off the strip.
Blimey. So that is going to be a free hit then for Leicestershire and Rayan Ahmed.
Yeah, just missed the execution of his back of the hand slow ball there, I think. Did Tom Taylor.
Free hit then, Rayan Ahmed is on strike. And that is wide again, so Tom Taylor's going to have to bowl that one again. The free hit rolls over to another one. Tom Taylor's asking the question as to, is he allowed to bowl it any wider if Rayan makes a bit of room, but I don't think he's going to fool the umpire there.
Yeah, there was some communication regarding the change of rules when a batter moves. Come back to that in a sec.
And well bowled.
He's nailed that one
by Tom Taylor. Spot on.
But basically saying if the batter gives you any, if the batter moves at any time and then they move again, both of the, I think you can see on the picture there, there's two faint blue lines just either side of the stumps. Basically that becomes the wide line, but for both sides.
Swing and a miss from Rayan Ahmed. I think the kitchen sink went into that one. So it's a case of as long as it's inside that Or do those blue lines almost move? Do they?
Basically, if the batter's to move leg side and then they move across to the offside, you could fire it down the leg side and say they swing and a miss. Whereas normally, if obviously you bowl down the leg side, it's always wide. If it's inside that blue line, it's not deemed a wide because the batter's moved.
Right. Okay.
I think I've interpreted that correctly, but I'm sure there's definitely been a kind of clarification on that for the bowlers.
Inside edge this time. McManus does the fielding, so a pretty eventful over comes to an end there from Tom Taylor. I think there was 10 runs off it in the end with a couple of free hits that ended up going nowhere. 94 for 4 then the score for Leicestershire off 12 overs. And it looks like AJ Tye is going to bowl the next one from the David Capel end.
Yeah, just mixing up the seamers to bowl in this middle overs. All offer something slightly different, but they all pack their punch with the variations that they've got, and I know that's something that bowling coach Chris Liddell's been drumming into these Steelbacks players, as we saw Tom Taylor in that previous over executing a few of those wide back the hand slow balls, just keeping it out of the hitting arc of Rehan Ahmed. Tye comes in,
gives himself a bit of space, doesn't he? Lewis Kimber, and Tye just draws the outside edge, and Kimber picks up one without suggesting and stating the obvious here, Joe, but this next wicket for the Steelbacks is absolutely massive. I think it would be fair to say, and apologies if I cause any offence here whatsoever, but it's not the strongest lower middle order and tail for the Foxes tonight, so get one of these and potentially that game takes a nice swing, but Rehan Ahmed's punched that one down the ground, and he's going to pick up 4 into the Foxes dugout. Fortunately, slightly better bit of fielding in the dugout by the Foxes than what there was from the Birmingham Bears on Wednesday night. That could have ended up being a bit nasty, couldn't it, with that bit of fielding?
I was behind the dugout as Jacob Bethel threw that, and it was hilarious, to be honest, because I think he was so humiliated himself. He was laughing at himself, and the other Birmingham players were obviously laughing with him, but I think he was a little bit embarrassed.
Short, and Rehan Ahmed tries to run that one down over the wicketkeeper. One for the over as well, signalled by the standing umpire. Yeah, I don't think that would be listed in Jacob Bethel's top 3 proudest moments of his cricket career. And particularly to do it on the day that the Sky cameras were in as well. There was absolutely no escaping of that. Change of field, so Freddie Heldrick at deep third comes up to just inside the circle, and long off goes out. And that's short, and Rehan Ahmed works that out to square leg for a single, which brings up the 100 for the Foxes. 100 for 4 off 12.4 overs.
Yeah, a solid partnership that these two are building, and the Foxes will really want these two to stay around for, take the partnership as deep as they can, and equally the Steelbacks will be looking to break it sooner rather than later.
And that is a wide ball from AJ Tye, so he's going to have to bowl that one again. So just over 7 overs to go then, with 101 runs on the board. We've seen some incredibly high scoring games here at Wantage Road so far this season. Kind of feels like 180 is almost a minimum score that you can really go into a second innings with. Great Yorker from AJ Tye, but they're going to be looking for 2 if they can get it, and they're going to have a go. Emilio Gay does the fielding. There was a chance, but the throw was wild and wide of the stumps, so Lewis Kimber picks up a couple.
Yeah, they'll definitely be looking to get up to that 180 mark, you'd imagine, to be competitive. I mean, pitch is into its 3rd game now, so it's had what, almost 93 overs of cricket on it, on the best part of.
Yep. And gone, AJ Tye picks up the big wicket of Lewis Kimber, who's batted really well for 41 this evening, but the Aussie seamer, the overseas AJ Tye, clean bowls him, and 5 down for 103 now, the Foxes. Huge.
Yeah, brilliant bit of bowling there from AJ Tye, just as we've kind of alluded to in terms of the variations that we know that he has in his locker. Just, yeah, Kimber's obviously tried to hit that into the gardens, and Ty, he's outfoxed him. Hey.
One for the dads. Joe's here all week, don't you worry. How long have you been waiting for that one?
Actually, do you know what? Actually, that was completely off the cuff.
Was
it was
it?
just on the tip of my tongue, and then I thought, yeah, I'm going to go for it.
So you haven't been sat there all afternoon kind of writing your Foxes jokes?
Not like Sam, that is for sure.
I think that's what happens to you when you sit in a traffic jam on the M25, but brilliant bit of bowling from AJ Ty.
May have kept a little bit low, definitely lower than I think Kimber was probably anticipating, but he batted nicely.
Did indeed. Leggy Freddie Heldrick is back into the attack. Rayan Ahmed is on strike. Short. I think he's got away with that one. Lewis McManus tidies up quite nicely. Don't think Rayan Ahmed's going to miss out on too many long hops going forward. But the new batter for the Foxes is Harry Swindles. That's just going to be one down to Graham White, who's on the field as a substitute.
I wonder who he's gone off for. Can you work it out quicker than I can?
I think AJ Ty was fielding down here in front of us.
Is that not him at 45?
It could
has
be.
Sanderson gone off?
Could be Ben Sanders. To be fair, I mean, he's done a brilliant job. He deserves a sit down.
Oh no, I think Sanderson's over there. This is...
Spot the missing stillback.
Yeah.
It's a dot ball for Harry Swindles.
Where's Chris Lynn?
It's a great question. It's really well fielded by Freddie Heldrick off his own bowling there.
It's Chris Lynn, figured it out.
Just getting those shoulders loose for a bit of Linsanity.
Yeah, you carry on, Chris.
Short from Heldrick, and that is a misfield by AJ Ty. That's gone through him, and Harry Swindles is going to get off the mark with a couple. Just 3 runs off the first 5 balls of this over. So a brilliant comeback for Freddie Heldrick after being pumped for a couple of 6s in his over before. That's just going to be one. Evades the diving Heldrick. So 4 off the over, 107 for 5 off 14. So 6 overs to go. Rayan Ahmed's on 16, Harry Swindles on 2. The WinViz, or the win predictor, currently 71.1 to the Steelbacks, 28.9 to the Foxes. I tell you what, I wouldn't be sat in the shade here tonight at Wantage Road if I had the option. They look like they're enjoying themselves, and the dog looks incredibly comfortable, sprawled across a couple of laps there. That might be the don't bring a coat to the cricket, just bring your Labrador and have your Labrador lay across you instead.
He would have warm legs, to be fair, but yeah, no, he certainly wouldn't be opting to sit in the shade at Wantage Road. He's absolutely Baltic here on Wednesday night.
It looked more like mid-January.
Yeah, it was so breezy.
David Willey then back into the attack. Harry Swindles on strike. Full and flicked into the leg side. I think that's just going to be one. They turn down the second. Bit of a misfield there from Lewis McManus, but as you'd expect in the professional game, well backed up. So Rayan Ahmed on strike. Looks like there's a change in the field as Emilio Gay comes into the circle at the 45. And that is down the leg side. So it's a wide ball that David Willey will have to bowl again. Don't know whether we're flirting with the idea of getting close to the cut. Well, not close to the cut-off, but looks like David Willey might have one eye on the time as he's jogged back to the end of his mark to re-bowl this delivery. That's gone up in the air, and that should be a simple cordon bowl. David Willey, the captain, picks up the danger man, Rayan Ahmed. He's gone for 16 off 20. Never quite got going. Not quite the fireworks that we've come to expect from the young England international, but a massive wicket for David Willey. I think there certainly is an eye on the time, Joe, because the signal from David Willey was not to come in and celebrate the wicket, but actually stay where you are because we need to get on with this.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's also David Willey's 250th T20 career wicket. So an excellent milestone for him to reach, and yeah, you're absolutely right. They didn't even bother having a little sip of their drinks. There's been a few extras, hasn't there, this evening from the Steelbacks, but I'm sure they'll just be looking to try and bowl the Foxes out here. Just 4 more to go, 5.5 overs or so to do it.
Yeah, they got stung on Wednesday night, didn't they, for about an over and a half, having to bring a fielder up inside the circle, which I appreciate you'll have absolutely no sympathy for. So Callum Parkinson, the new man, big appeal for LBW straight away, nothing doing. Dave
No,
really
very much used to just having the 4 out in the women's game.
pitched a fairway outside leg stump, that one. So 109 for 6, the score. Full and defended into the leg side. They've certainly got an eye on the time. I suppose it's a negative of going with such a stacked seam attack. Those run-ups are obviously considerably longer than those that bowl a bit of finger spin or a bit of wrist spin, so it takes a bit more time out of the game, doesn't it? And as you quite rightly pointed out, there's been a fair few extras that have had to be bowled so far. And that is a genuine edge, and Callum Parkinson gets off the mark through what would be the slip cordon down to deep third, and he picks up 4. Squared him up, didn't he? And genuine edge.
Yeah, beautifully bowled from David Willey, wasn't it? Just that kind of classic left arm over the wicket delivery that he would have taken many a pole with.
And that goes past Parkinson this time, through to Lewis McManus. The end of a successful over, the wicket of Rayan Ahmed. So 15 overs gone, 113 for 6 the score. 4 wickets left for Leicestershire. 5 overs for them to score as many runs as they quite obviously can. I think 180 feels like quite a long way away now with the batters that they have left. But Joe, over to you for a bit of lead commentary for the end of the innings.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the cut-off time on the scoreboard is 19:47. So the Steelbacks have essentially got 19 minutes to get to the start of the 19th over. Sure, this over from Freddie Heldrick will help speed proceedings up a bit. Yeah, I'm sure the Steelbacks will be seeing this as a massive opportunity. Try and squeeze as much as possible. Flighted from Freddie Heldrick. It's in the air, but won't quite reach safe save at cover, and they'll come back for a couple. Now Swindles moves on to 4. Foxes 115 for 6. Yeah, I'm sure they'll be looking to probably try and keep the Foxes under 160 perhaps. Up in the air for a time, but it'll just be, I think it'd be signalled as leg by. Wasn't sure if there was bat involved there, but it's just hit the fire pad. Harry Swindles and looped up over McManus's head.
Yeah, I think we've got a massive opportunity here, haven't we, to restrict the Foxes down below that 160 that you mentioned with the batters that are left.
Play in a miss
I know.
from Callum Parkinson.
Osama Mir's stats completely stitched me up, didn't they, in that Worcestershire game? But the batters for Leicester offer similar kind of stats in terms of career T20s. Like the strike.
Up and over, extra cover. Be cut off by a safe save. We know how quick he is out there. Just a couple for the Foxes.
Yeah, the strike rates aren't massive and the averages aren't huge either. So you kind of feel like there's the door is wide open here for the Steelbacks to waltz on through.
Just another man being sent out on the offside. Sweeping. So try and save that too. Will they come back? Oh, there's a mix-up here. Is he gonna be in? Oh, yeah, right. So Callum Parkinson The throw came into Lewis McManus. Callum Parkinson was diving in despair, and he turned around and tried to a direct hit at the non-striker's end, but it's a bit of a wild miss. Anyway, they came through for another couple despite putting an extra man out there on that cover boundary. Will he do the same again, this time down the pitch over the top of mid-off? And that was a delightful shot from Callum Parkinson.
It's a lovely looking shot, wasn't it?
Very pleasant indeed. Just helped it over that man that was up mid-off inside the circle. So fairly productive over there for the Foxes. They move on to 124 now.
I'd say the 6 over extra cover still just in front for me. Just.
Freddie Heldrick's spell comes to an end. 1 for 33 for him, so he's taken a wicket in each of the games he's played so far. 4 wickets in the season for him. Another over for David Willey, and he'll be closing out his spell. So I think it'd probably be Tom Taylor and AJ Tye to try and close out the innings. Potentially James Sales in there as well, you may think. It's flicked off the hip from Harry Swindles.
You'd be surprised with James Sales if he doesn't get another one. That one over only went for 4, didn't it? But as you said, the experience of those 2 seamers that you've listed off, you would expect them to do the bulk of the heavy lifting, wouldn't you, at the end of the innings?
You would, but I wouldn't be averse to seeing Sales as Willie's coming around the wicket. Hit the thigh pad, I think, of Parkinson and went through to the keeper, McManus, so it'll be a dot. Yeah, change of angle from David Willey, just trying to target the stumps a bit more potentially.
They're going to have to find one over, aren't they, from one of the other seamers?
Just be a single. Another leg by. Yeah, and this is still very much a win for the Steelbacks at this point. They'll obviously be looking to try and bowl them out, but dots, leg bys, ones, all a massive positive at this stage. It's up in the air. Is it going to be caught? Fielders running round, converging. No, and it's going to be well fielded eventually by Ben Sanderson there. It bounced just before the rope and he was able to keep it inside the field of play. Bounced pretty high.
Perfectly placed, wasn't it?
Well, straight in the gap between them, but it was a good job out there from Ben Sanderson.
Had both of them interested enough, didn't it, to warrant putting a shift in to get to it, but wasn't quite on.
Short from David Willey. 1 for the over signalled from the umpire. Final ball left. David Willey's spell, signalling to Emilio Gay to just come up inside the circle. Deep square, deep mid wicket, long on, cover, and a third man. The men on the boundary. Played down the wicket, run out opportunity. Oh, just narrowly missed the stumps. Just a single. What do we reckon? Do you reckon that was out if he hit the stumps? Always in the game of direct hit, aren't you? A sharp bit of work.
Yeah, he wasn't in the picture, was he?
He ran a very interesting line. There did Harry Swindles.
That's well coached, isn't it?
Crossing over the wicket.
It's well coached.
Hit the bat, deflect off the bat, go for 4. Where have we seen that before?
I was going to say it was quite successful in 2019, wasn't it? That shot by Ben Stokes, he played it quite well.
It's going to be AJ Tye back into the attack for his 3rd over of the evening. He's bowled nicely this evening, a lot more economical than his previous 4 games. Much time, we've seen that a few times attempted tonight.
Joe Stato Gardner's notes aren't always... Well, the notes are probably right, to be fair. but the execution was
yeah,
lacking
poor
slightly.
execution.
Are you the type of person that knows your own stats off by heart as well?
Nah, I don't delve into that too much. Just try and another back of the hand slower ball, and that's well struck from Callum Parkinson. Will it get cut off? No, just evades. Scrambling save. He didn't get all of it, Callum Parkinson, but he hit it into space, which was the important thing. And it just dribbled over the rope for 4. So he moves on to 16. And the Foxes 1-3-4 for 6. Nice little cameo from Callum Parkinson, to be fair to him.
Yeah, respectfully to Leicestershire and all of the Foxes fans, this partnership's just looking a little bit annoying now, isn't it, from a Stillback's point of view.
Another slow ball again from Ty, just a bit of a leg cutter that time. Parkinson waves his bat in frustration as he just feels as though he missed out on that one. But yeah, no, I don't delve into my stats too much. I try and just take it one game at a time. So once I've kind of processed how one game's gone, get my learnings out of it, note them down, and just try and take them into the next game and just put it to bed almost. Short from AJ Ty. Won't be a wide, despite Callum Parkinson walking down the wicket, questioning the umpire. He might have a little pat of the pitch. Must admit, I was surprised. It wasn't signalled as a wide, but
maybe it brushed the maybe it just brushed the vitality badge on his sleeve on the way through.
Yeah, he better not talk too much, else he might get himself a little level 1. Very hot on that. The umpires, those kinds of things this year. Changing the field. Long on sent back, and he's bowled him. Well executed from AJ Ty. Bit of a slower ball Yorker, I think. He adds to his wicket tally for the evening. 2 for 18. Yeah, well executed. Off stump, out the ground. Yeah, AJ Ty's bowled very tidily this evening. Parkinson's little cameo has to come to an end. 16 off 15 for him. AJ Ty has his 2nd and his 7th wicket of the campaign for him.
Good innings, I think, there from Callum Parkinson, and for the Foxes, they were in a bit of trouble, weren't they? I think that partnership, what was that partnership worth? So the last wicket was 109, so what's that, about 20, well, bang on 25, I think, that partnership between Callum Parkinson and Harry Swindle, so quite a useful time.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what kind of the coaching staff will be talking about, from like partnerships of that kind of size from the lower order in particularly, how they can impact the momentum leading into the second innings of games. But he did his job, Callum Parkinson, at the time. James Sales, we thought he deserved another over this evening, and it's going to be the 19th over for him. Wondering if he can get his first wicket in T20 cricket on home soil. Inside edge onto the pad. Otherwise, there may have been a shout for LBW, so just the 1 coming off that. Have you been impressed with what you've seen of James Sales so far this year, Dan?
Yeah, I have actually. He's a young lad that I hadn't seen a great deal of, and particularly stood out in a couple of those county championship fixtures where he kind of appeared to have the ability just to break partnerships for, well, what was Sam Whiteman, who was skippering, wasn't he, at the end of that block of championship games.
Followed him well there, did Sales, just short of a length. Batter tried to give himself room, but followed by James Sales, as we've seen so often from him this season.
Looks a bit quicker than what maybe you'd give him credit for, I think, and potentially bowls a bit of a heavier ball as well for a lad who's respected. I mean, he's not the shortest Stillback, but he's not the tallest either, is he?
back of a length scramble. Will they come through for a single? Yeah, just about. Just wonder if that throw from Emilio Gay had been a little bit more accurate, whether or not Swindles would have got home there at the non-striker's end. But anyway, they came through for another single. So 3 singles at the start of the 19th. You can see that Intelligent Win Predictor got the steel backs at 77%. Slower ball, hit high. How long's it gone? Is David Willey interested? No, it's gone all the way, I think. Managed to get hold of that, did Naveen.
Wow, what a strike that was.
It's a lovely swing of the bat.
Was. David Willey for a second, I think, thought that's gone miles. Then all of a sudden thought, actually, that might be dropping at my feet. And I then quickly changed his mind and thought, actually, oh no, that's gone miles again. Naveen fresh from IPL duty, isn't he? He had a season with the Lucknow Super Giants, or if you pronounce everything like Mark Wood, it's the Lucknow Super Giants, but he's a bit of a wild character, so...
Again, slower from Sales. Hit out into that pocket on the leg side, and they'll come back pretty comfortably for a couple of runs. So Naveen moves on to 9 off of 3 balls for him. Yeah. Afghanistan international Naveen. Not long off the plane, I would imagine. Short, very short. Signalled no ball from the umpire.
He played last night, didn't he, against Derbyshire? Played his first game of the season for the Foxes. But as you say, I don't think he'd been back in the country for that long before playing that game last night. And you scroll through the Foxes' social media pages, pretty excited to have their leading wicket taker back from last season into the squad.
Thick outside edge. Will it be cut off? By the sounds of that banging into the boundary boards. No, so productive end to the over for Naveen Ul Haq. Takes himself on to 13 from just 4 deliveries.
It's an all-action innings from Naveen Ul Haq so far, isn't it?
Certainly is, and they'll be hoping to minimise as many boundaries in this final over from AJ Tye, and he's bowled pretty economically tonight, so hopefully not too many of that, and they'll be able to keep the Foxes under that 160 total that we spoke about, because generally the Steelbacks have been pretty good tonight. Pretty good, one of their best bowling performances of the season, that is for sure. Final over coming up. Dot ball, AJ Tye. Really looked like that one.
Looked like a leg spinner, didn't it?
Bounced and cut into the surface, that is for sure. And batter was absolutely nowhere near it. I think I've been made silly doing things like that before. Just head up in the air,
counting the clouds.
Completely lose your shape. Yeah. It's up in the air. Is it going to be caught? Yes. Caught and bowled for AJ Tye, so he gets 3 wickets on the evening. Very wide, followed the batter, kept his composure and took a caught and bowled chance. Just has a real knack of taking wickets, does AJ Tye. Doesn't matter what country he's in, he'll always take wickets for his team. Harry Swindle's innings comes to an end. 3 for 18 for AJ Tye, his best Steelbacks figures.
Yep. Bit of a chance for a 5 for here with Naseem and then Josh Hull if we get that far left for the Foxes. I think Harry Swindles did incredibly well to get that delivery up, straight up, and to where it finished there. I thought it might have been a little bit wise to try and get Naveen back on strike, but
pace on delivery from AJ Tye to the new batter Naseem. Just whacked him in the thigh pad and they come through for a single.
For a second, Joe, I thought that might have been a bit uncomfortable for Naseem, but I think he might have just avoided that one.
Although he's stretching his quad a little bit, giving his leg a shake. Naveen on to strike. He goes for the reverse ramp. The entertaining innings continues from Naveen. Doesn't get any bat on it, and it goes through to McManus. Just have a look at that again.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I've got so much time for it, Joe.
2 balls left in the innings. AJ Ty coming in from the centre. Slow, high, and I think that's going to be 6. Yeah. For a second, I thought that was coming straight to us, Dan.
I was getting ready to catch that through the window. That was massive.
Stand and admire from Naveen Ul-Haq.
Keep doing that, Naveen. Don't worry about the reverse ramps.
Brilliant little cameo from him. He'll be looking to do the same again here. Final ball of the innings. Reverse ramp, gets hold of it this time. That is an exceptional shot. Reverse ramp for 6. Brilliant way to finish the innings with a career best batting innings from Naveen Ul-Haq. 25 not out off just the 8 deliveries. And how important might that be for the Foxes, you wonder? But that was an extremely entertaining 8 balls from Naveen, wasn't it, Dan?
That's crazy, Joe. Striking at 312 and a half for a guy, I think his strike rate was about, what, 80, 90 maybe?
90, 91, yeah.
I mean, it's amazing what a couple of weeks in India in the IPL can do for you, but that was, yeah, a cameo, wasn't it? I think to say everything was happening, every ball. I'm not sure he meant too many of them, but those couple at the end were absolute monsters. So what a finish that was for the Foxes. The win predictor's still favouring the Steelbacks though at 60.1% to 39.9 for the Foxes. So 164 for 8 the score, which will give the Steelbacks 165 to win off their 20. Just run through the scorecard. Nick Welsh out bowled Sanderson for a duck. Lewis Hill 31 bowled Heldrick, stumped McManus. Rishi Patel got 5. Colin Ackerman, the massive wicket, clean bowled, middle stump by Ben Sanderson for a single. Lewis Kimber, pick of the batters, 41. Rayan Ahmed didn't quite get going, 16 off 21. Harry Swindles 10 off 16. Callum Parkinson with a gritty 16 off 15. Swashbuckling, I think, is the word I would describe Naveen Ul-Haq's 25 off 8. And Naseem Shah just had his thigh pad tested out by AJ Ty. So as I say, 164 for 8. I'll just let Joe do some words whilst I grab myself a bottle of water.
Yeah, brilliant innings really for the Steelbacks, and they'll certainly be happy with that total if you'd have offered it to them at the start. But as you can see, just the intelligent cricket predictor, it's got the Steelbacks actually at 58%, which, I don't know, it comes to me as a little bit of a surprise. I thought it might be a little bit more. Maybe those couple of 6s from Naveen at the end have just bumped up the Foxes' chances, perhaps going into the second innings in this pitch's third match. Maybe that's got a bit to do with it, potentially, but generally, Steelbacks bowled really well. Sanderson, very impressive on his seasonal debut in this year's Blast, obviously the leading wicket taker for the Steelbacks last year, and well backed up by AJ Ty. Freddie Heldrick in amongst the wickets as well, and David Willey also getting his 250th T20 career wicket. They'd take that at half-time, wouldn't they?
I think so. I think if you'd have offered that to them at the toss, I think they'd have bitten your hand off for it. It puts them well in the game, and I agree with you, Joe, to be honest with you. I thought that would be slightly more in the Steelbacks' favour, that win predictor. I would have expected that to have been closer to 65 personally, but yeah, I think they would have grabbed that opportunity to chase down 165. Obviously, chasing's been a little bit tough for the Steelbacks so far this season, so it's not going to be an easy task. And we've spoken, haven't we, at the start of the stream, of the quality that the Foxes possess with the ball in this game in particular, with Callum Parkinson, Rayan Ahmed, Naveen Ul-Haq and Naseem Shah. So it isn't going to be easy going, but you tipped Chris Lynn for some success with the bat. And that pace on from Naseem and Naveen at the top of the order could be right up his street.
Yeah, it certainly could. It's got almost stand and deliver Chris Lynn written all over it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Naveen go to his change of pace early, and I think that was something that was pretty effective for him last year. You've also got the inexperienced Josh Hull, who will be bowling some left arm seam for the Foxes, and I'm sure Chris Lynn, will be targeting those seamers at the top of the order, and hopefully one of the Steelbacks' top 4 can go on and get a solid score and contribute to chasing this total down, that's for sure.
Yeah, no Vasconcelos tonight, who has been the pick of the batters, hasn't he, so far for the Steelbacks, with 2 50s, including that 65 on Wednesday night against the Bears. Chris Lynn's had a couple of starts. David Willey, I think, has got 330 so far this season. Safe Zabe at 5, got that match-winning 37 not out up at Derby as well. So there's been starts, isn't there, from this kind of top 4 or 5, and tonight chasing down in inverted commas a lower score is a real opportunity for those guys to go out there and kind of start their season off.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you, Dan. I think the highest score, other than Ricardo's couple of 50s, was that knock we saw from Tom Taylor in the first game against the Rapids, 44 not out. So there's definitely a bit of work to be done for the top order in terms of taking a bit of responsibility without the leading run scorer Vasconcelos not playing tonight. And as we mentioned in the pre-match build-up, an opportunity for Emilio Gay at the top of the order. We know how much potential he packs. We've seen that a lot in Red Bull cricket for Northamptonshire, and I'm sure he'll be looking to try and stamp his mark in this T20 team and try and be a bit more of a regular feature and push Ricardo and those guys at the top of the order for a spot at the top.
Yeah, so Ricardo missed all of last season, didn't he, with an injury. Emilio had the knee injury at the start of this year, and I don't really think has had his season got underway. Did he have 2 county championship games before, or did he get 3 in the end?
I don't know if it was 2 or 3. He definitely played.
I'm certain it was 2.
Definitely 2 at least. I have to just check.
But obviously played 2, well, definitely 2, but maybe 3 championship fixtures, and then obviously hasn't played a Blast game so far this season.
Yeah, 2 championship fixtures, and then he played in one of the second 11, I guess, warm-up T20s that day when they played against Worcester down at Kidderminster, and he scored 60-odd the second game. So can certainly whack him. He only had 1 appearance in the Blast last year where he scored 30. I'm not sure off how many balls it was, but it was a very solid 30 off 19 against Lancashire here last year, and he also played in the fixture against the India 11 for their little games against England, and yeah, hit 3 4s and a 6 at the top of the order. So we know what he can do. Elegant player.
Yeah, he doesn't hang about against the Red Bull, does he? So I'd be incredibly surprised if we see him hanging about against the white one. So he's certainly a little bit short on match practice, isn't he, this year? But knowing Emilio, I suspect he's probably spent every possible minute he's got in the nets against the machine, against the dog stick, grabbing anybody who will bowl at him.
Yeah, there's no shying away from the fact that he's one of the hardest working members of this Steelbacks team. I think a lot of his teammates say that about him, as well as the coaching staff, don't they? So if anyone's going to be prepared, it will be him. Oh, there's a seamer in the Foxes attack, bowling with a cap on. I think it could be, is that Naseem? It's just rogue, isn't it? Bowling with a cap on as a seamer in the warm-up.
You're not a fan?
I mean, I'd do it in the warm-up.
Yeah.
Between innings. But I feel like it's a little bit more acceptable if you're a spinner. Like, there's quite a few people that do wear caps in the women's game. As a seamer.
Who was at number 71?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no Naseem Shah.
Naseem Shah.
The slow bowling of Naseem Shah, trundling in with a cap on.
Does what he wants.
I think he's got every
I
right
wouldn't want to face him anyway. I'd be standing at square leg, running away from it.
I don't think you'd be the only person. I think you'd have quite a bit of company over at square leg, Joe, to be honest, if people were offered the opportunity to face up against Naseem Shah. I mean, he's one of the quickest blokes in world cricket at the moment, isn't he? And certainly plenty of people that are going to be playing club cricket tomorrow. They're not going to be putting their hands up saying, oh yeah, I fancy a go against Naseem. Maybe not at 5 to 8. I mean, give it a couple more hours and they might be up for it. But I thought it was interesting, just to touch on before we start this game again, when I asked you about whether you're a massive stato with your own stuff, but you kind of said, no, I'll get through my game, I'll take away what I can and then worry about the next one. I think that's a really good point for anybody playing cricket, almost at any standard and any level. And so many people will be playing cricket tomorrow, probably a little bit worried about the fact that their season hasn't started how they wanted to start, and maybe overthinking about what guard they've taken. Like, because I mean, for us club cricketers, it's not a case of these 1%ers. It's a case of, well, I'll just try and change 30%. I'll go from like a leg stump guard and I'll start batting on off because it hasn't worked for me so far. But to have that mindset of just go, well, it's gone now, I can't do anything about it, forget it, move on and go again, I think is quite a refreshing way to look at it.
Yeah, I think it has to be. You know, professional sport can be a pretty relentless place at times, and it's no different if you're playing club cricket on a weekend. The game is the same in a sense. It's just the perceived pressure that you might put on yourself at the respective levels, and it's really important, yeah, to just almost, if you get out for naught to a good ball on one day, then you know you just got to keep backing yourself and know and trust yourself and trust your skill set, that you know the week after you could score 100 but play scratchy as anything. You so often see players score 100 and then their next innings they'll get out first ball or something like that. It honestly happens so often. I see it so many times. So no, I definitely think there's obviously lessons that you can learn from each and every time you step out onto the field, and as long as you're always looking to strive and improve and get better, then you're definitely in the right place. But I know I'm a fine one to talk when it comes to being hard on myself and putting a bit too much pressure on myself, but you come to learn that, you know, the reason why we play this game is because ultimately you enjoy it. It's a good time to socialise with your mates at all levels. Doesn't matter if it's professional sport or not, and you've just got to enjoy it as much as possible, because if you're enjoying it, then you're definitely more likely to have success, I think.
Yeah, well, look at that England Test team as a case in point from that. But the players are back out on the field, so over to you, Joe, for the first 5.
Yeah, and it's going to be Josh Hull on his white ball debut for the Foxes. Just 18, graduated from the academy last year, made his first class debut earlier on this year. He'll be coming into the left-handed Emilio Gay, so left arm seam from Josh Hull. Just flick down the leg side, not sure if he got bat on that or if it just clipped his thigh pad, Emilio Gay. But yeah, good chance for Josh Hull. Pretty tall, 6'7".
I was just about to say, he looks absolutely enormous from where I'm sitting. There's a word in there somewhere.
made his championship debut against Yorkshire in April. Took 4 wickets in the match. Just down the leg side. That one will be a wide from Hull. No doubt, be a few nerves kicking around. First time he's had white ball in hand for Foxes in a professional game, but took 4 wickets in a couple of warm-up T20s, 2 apiece against Derby and Notts. Yeah, good opportunity for him, the 18-year-old, coming into Emilio Gay. Cut nicely down towards the man at third, and Emilio Gay's First last innings of the season is underway, and it brings the international prowess of Chris Lynn onto strike to face Josh Hull. Real contrast in experience, but a brilliant opportunity for Hull to be bowling at Chris Lynn. Oh, and he's played and missed. Oh, no ball signalled by the umpire. So front foot no ball from Josh Hull. Free hit signalled. There's nothing better than that as a batter, is there? Knowing that your opportunity to get off the mark is going to come off a free hit.
Yeah, get your innings off and running off a freebie. And from Josh Hull's perspective, I don't think there's many people that you wouldn't really want to be bowling it to Chris Lynn, that's for sure.
Into the surface, gone up in the air. It'll be catch taken at mid-on, just about, but they'll come through for a single. Obviously can't be out from a free hit unless there's a bit of a mix-up and you end up getting yourself run out, which I think is just criminal on all accounts. In any cricket, anywhere, don't let it happen to you, would be my advice.
Don't be that person.
Don't be that person.
Worse, don't run your mate out.
And just back of a length from Hull, outside the off stump of Emilio Gay. No real foot movement there, but you can see the kind of carry that Josh Hull's able to extract from that height that he's got. Strong build, makings of a fast bowler, that's for sure, with that left arm angle as well. Just down the leg side, just flicked Emilio Gay's 5-pad that time, so no wide signalled. So 5 off first 5 balls of Steelback's chase.
I think he's not exactly settled on a line yet, has he, Josh Hull? And I think Northampton be pretty disappointed these 5 balls have only gone for 5 so far, with the front foot no ball, with the free hit, with the leg side wide, 2 more down the leg side off the thigh pad as well.
Flicked through mid-wicket for 4. Emilio Gay just moved over towards the leg side. Hull followed him and Emilio Gay helped himself to a boundary, gets his innings, moves on to 5. 9 at the end of the first over, the Steelbacks.
That's a tasty looking shot, isn't it? Does that rank close to the 6 over extra? Not for Joe Gardner looking at the grimace.
No,
it's almost to say, Dan, how can you say something so stupid?
No, I just think I've seen Emilio Gay hit more elegant shots than that. Like, don't get me wrong, the timing was exquisite, but in terms of aesthetics, I know he's got more in the locker.
All right,
That's what I'm saying.
Tough crowds.
It's going to be Pakistan international Naseem Shah to open the bowling from the David Capel end. Just 20 years old, Naseem Shah. He's got plenty of international experience, 42 matches for Pakistan across all formats. Helped nicely into the leg side from Lynn. They'll definitely come back for a couple. We see that pace on offer from Naseem Shah yet. 42 matches, 15 tests, 8 ODIs and 19 T20s, and he's taken 80 international wickets. It's just a real stock fast bowling talent within Pakistan ranks, isn't there?
They are blessed for choice at the moment, that is for sure.
Inside edge from Lynn onto his toe.
Got an incredible way in Pakistan of going out and finding this talent as well. I don't know whether you've heard much about it, but these talent camps that happen around the country, that all in line with, well, not all of them, but a lot of them are in line with the Pakistan Super League teams. and almost unearth this talent. I don't think Naseem has particularly been like unearthed through this process, but Ishanullah, who bowled so well in the PSL, I don't even think he had any interest in playing cricket before he went to this talent camp.
Shah, and again, full on the stumps and driven up towards mid-off.
He took a huge amount of wickets in the PSL over the winter, picked up the 100 contract with the Oval Invincibles for this summer, and as I say, I don't think he played. I don't think there was any real interest in it. I don't think he describes himself as a cricket fan, and he's turned up at this talent camp. He's bowled absolute rockets, and they've said, have a contract and come and play in the PSL for us.
Outside edge from Chris Lynn, well fielded at backward point from Rishi Patel. Harry Swindles enjoyed it as well. The dot ball. So 3 dots from Naseem Shah. Wonder what Chris Lynn's gonna do here. Couple balls left in the over. Is he gonna try and just get himself up the other end and not take a risk? Or is he gonna try and blaze him over the top for a boundary? You just wonder.
It doesn't look like it's going to be full, does it?
He might have taken the pace off of that one a bit, and it was uppishly driven towards mid-off for another dot.
It's been an aggressive start, isn't it, from Chris Lynn on this 3 off 7, but there is an opportunity tonight with that score of 165, and I know it's not exactly his modus operandi, but there is a chance to give yourself a little bit of time here and build a bit of an innings rather than go flying out the blocks from ball 1.
Well directed Yorker from Naseem to finish the over. Throw at the stumps was accurate, but never in danger. So Lynn will keep the strike. Just 3 runs conceded from Naseem Shah's first over. Looks like it's going to be a slow left arm orthodox Callum Parkinson, leading wicket taker in Fox's history. Callum Parkinson, very wily operator, often bowls in the power play. Yeah. I think he's taken 97 wickets for the Foxes in T20 cricket.
Just a real kind of competitive lad as well, isn't he? And I suppose when you grow up with a twin brother, I suppose you don't have any choice other than to be competitive. But
defended back down the wicket from Chris Lynn. Yeah, that's it. Obviously, twin brother Matt. Shot. Brilliant shot from Chris Lynn. Just a little bit short from Callum Parkinson, but Lynn gave himself a bit of room. Hit it down through long off region all the way along the carpet for 4. Very, very powerfully hit, wasn't it, from Chris Lynn?
yeah, he's just muscled that through, isn't he? I don't think that was particularly near the middle of the bat either. It looked like it came quite low, didn't it, off the bat of Chris Lynn, but an awful lot of power going through those 2 arms.
First boundary for him. In again. Drives up towards mid-on, but be no run. So Callum Parkinson's just pushed Louis Kimber back onto the long off boundary, and we've also got a mid-wicket pretty straight out on the boundary. So they're the 2 fielders that are out for Chris Lynn. Four again. Lynn just helps himself to the gap between cover and extra. Blazes it through the offside for 4. So a couple of boundaries in this over for Chris Lynn. He moves on to 12. straight up from Callum Parkinson that time, and Lynn just knocks it down into square leg, but doesn't bother worrying about taking quick single. So final ball of the over from Callum Parkinson. This time he does take the single up to mid-on, takes the strike again. So Steelbacks 21 for none at the end of the third over. Productive over that one, with 9 coming off of it.
Yeah, do you think that would have been?
Chris Lynn?
Do you think that would have been like a match-up decision for Leicester there to kind of bring the finger spin on quite so early? I know you said that Parkinson bowls a fair bit in the power play anyway, but I think it's probably fairly well documented that Chris Lynn quite likes a bit of pace on the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially even more so with how Nazim Shah had bowled at him in the previous over. He's probably going into that over with a little bit more pressure on him in terms of strike rate that we're so often used to seeing of Chris Lynn. Definitely an opportunity for Parkinson to try and get the wicket of Lynn, but we saw him bat so well against the Foxes in a couple of fixtures last year. Shah again. Oh no, it's Naveen, isn't it?
It is indeed.
It's flicked off of the 5-pad of Chris Lynn, and that'll be another 4 onto the total. Just straight in line, Naveen's first ball. Just helped round the corner pretty fine. No bat on it though. So 4 leg byes to start 4th over.
I think we need one of those. We need one of those fancy patio heaters they've got downstairs up in the back of the commentary box, Joe, as well. It's just getting a bit chilly again now,
isn't it? Yeah, I thought as much. Play and a miss from Lynn. For a second, I did wonder if he might have got a sneaky little inside edge on it, but not quite.
It did look that way, didn't it? I had a bit of a heart in mouth moment, I think, there as that went through to Swindles behind the stumps.
Yeah, Naveen obviously had a really productive season last year, leading wicket taker for the Foxes, and in 2021 as well. 50 wickets for them in just 29 matches, so this is 30th match. Again to Lynn, that'll just be a single. Yeah, brilliant signing. Afghanistan international.
He was second on the list last year, wasn't he, in the Blast? Was it Richard Gleeson he was behind in the T20 Blast wicket takers, I think?
Quite possibly, but yeah, really good bowler, uses his variations well. As well, took career best 5 for 11 against Worcestershire. It's not bad, is it?
No, it's... Can I keep the cricket ball, please, umpire?
There was a chance of potentially a run out at the striker's end, but Emilio Gay got back safely as he just caressed that to the man that was at short third, Nazim Shah. Yeah, good challenge for Emilio Gay this, against a man of Naveen Ul-Haq's quality, as Dan alluded to earlier, just come back from the IPL with the Lucknow Super Giants. Slower ball, clipped off his legs, Emilio Gay, and I think that'll run all the way down to the boundary for 4. So the second boundary in Emilio Gay's innings. He'll move on to 9. It was just a bit of a freebie, wasn't it? You can't bowl there to Emilio Gay. He's always going to help himself to that, just straying onto his pads.
Yeah, bit of Kevin Peterson about that, wasn't there? The flamingo flick into the leg side.
Flamingo flare. You'd love to see it. See that intelligent cricket win predictor. He's got the Steelbacks up at 70% now. 26 for none in the 4th over. Excellently guided down towards 3rd man from Emilio Gay. Something that you see so often from him in red ball cricket to start his innings. Just waited for it underneath his eyes, played it very fine, beat the diving Nazim Shah. Back-to-back boundaries for Gay.
Yeah, I think Leicestershire will be a bit disappointed from Nassim there. I think he could have done a touch better in the field to stop that one going for 4, but he's got a chance to redeem himself, isn't he? He's going to bowl the next over.
Yeah, always nice to finish the over with a boundary, really just take momentum into the next over as a batting side. But yeah, Nazim will be bowling from this Lynn Wilson indoor centre end, so he's had a change of end for his second over. He'll be coming into Chris Lynn, and he's got a deep cover and a deep square leg. He's bowled short, pace off. Just looked like it held in the wicket a little bit there for Chris Lynn. Missed his timing. Taken one in side of his, and just underneath his armpit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bit of a stinger.
Yeah, on a balmy night in Northampton.
Yeah, ouch. Full. Will he get it over the top? Yes. 4 to Chris Lynn. You just thought for a second Callum Parkinson may have been interested in the catch, but Chris Lynn was able to get just enough elevation over the man at mid-on.
I don't think he was that confident, was he? I don't think Lynn was that confident when the ball came off his bat there, looking at the mannerism at the crease. I think he thought he might have come to an end there.
No, he just managed to just jab down and get enough on it to beat Callum Parkinson at mid-on. Short, inside edge into square leg, about 8 metres away from Chris Lynn. He comes through for a single. Yeah, he's not looked, other than I guess a couple of boundaries off Parkinson, that he almost muscled to the boundary. It wasn't pure timing, was it? Not like we've seen from Emilio Gay, but maybe just a sign of how the pitch is potentially playing, and that you need to just give yourself a little bit of time. I know I certainly struggled and did not play aesthetically whatsoever when I was batting out there on Wednesday. And he's gone. Emilio Gay just caught on the crease. That little bit of extra pace and zip from Nazim Shah. He's feathered it behind to Harry Swindles, just going for that work down to third man that we've seen work well for him in the previous over. But Emilio Gay has to go, so his first innings of the Blast campaign finishes with 13 runs, and it'll bring the skipper, left-hander David Willey, to the crease to join Chris Lynn. The Steelbacks 39 for 1.
Quite often the case, isn't it, Joe, that the shot of strength turns out to be the downfall in the end. It's quite an interesting choice, though. I imagine if that had gone the way that Emilio Gay had wanted that to go, that probably would have beaten the fielder at deep third anyway, but it's quite a low reward shot, really, with the fielder down on the fine leg boundary anyway. It was probably, well, possibly only going to pick up 1 for that shot, but something that had proved incredibly fruitful for him in that innings anyway. But I mean, Lynn's 19 off 20, and as I said earlier, where this is a bit of a lower score, it doesn't necessarily matter the fact he's taken up 20 balls so far.
Short from Nazim Shah. David Willey just able to get on top of that one, nudges it down into the offside. No run taken. So final ball of Nazim Shah's second over. Almost 200 wickets in his career, Nazim Shah. 194th wicket he's just got there. At aged 20, that's not too bad at all, is it? Final ball of his over. Playing a miss from Willey. Has he got him? There's an appeal. Not interested from the umpire. Few choice words perhaps from Nazim. to David Willey.
Bit of a celebra pill there, wasn't there? Bit of Stuart Broad-esque, I think. Didn't look back at the umpire and ran through. I wonder whether those two have had a bit of a coming together in the past, or whether that was a spur of the moment thing for Naseem. I think when you can bowl kind of 90 mile an hour, you can almost like walk down and say whatever you want to anybody anyway. It doesn't really matter, does it? You've got the skill set to back up whatever you want to say.
Absolutely right. Final over of the power play here. Naveen to bowl it.
That's I mean, that to my eyes anyway, Joe, tell me I'm wrong, but that looks like that's jagged away from Chrislin.
Like a very good delivery indeed, didn't it? Just gone down and had a bit of gardening, a few words with David Willey about how they're gonna potentially operate in this partnership. Yeah, good delivery from Naveen.
Full, and Chrislin wallops that one through the offside. Fielders don't move, and 4 more for Chrislin. Much better timing, I think, this time from the Aussie. Absolutely smoked it, Joe.
Yeah, he definitely got a piece of that one, didn't he?
So 23 off 22 now for Northants Aussie international. Guy that batted so brilliantly last year for the Steelbacks. And that is another 4 for Chrislin. Back-to-back boundaries through the offside. Slightly squarer this time. Bit shorter from Naveen, but no trouble for Chrislin. He puts that one away for another 4.
Yep, and with those couple of boundaries, takes Chrislin past 11,500 career runs across all formats. Not bad. Not bad at all.
No, not to discredit that achievement, but I think Joe Root went through 11,000 test runs today.
Couple of good players.
Some pretty decent ones there, isn't there? Chrislin on strike. Defended this time. The win predictor there, 71.1, 69.8, apologies, in favour of the Steelbacks on this stream, powered by Dafabet. $118 to win. 14.2 overs, 2 balls left in the power play, 47 for 1 the score. Short this time from Naveen Haque, and Chrislin plays that one square of the wicket. Fielder does very well on the boundary to keep that down to 2. That is not the place that I would want to be fielding tonight, Joe. I think Dan Mousley had an interesting experience on Wednesday night down there, didn't he, in front of, what did Sam call it, Sunset Boulevard or something, which I think sounds a lot more civil than what it might be down in that neck of the woods. Almost sounds quite glamorous, doesn't it, Sunset Boulevard? I don't think Dan Mousley found it that glamorous. It's worked into the offside, so that is the end of the over. That is, what's that, 11 runs off it, 50 for the Steelbacks in the power play, so 50 for 1 off the power play. Chrislin moves to 30, and the Steelbacks require just 8.21 runs per over with these two at the crease, so a pretty good start.
Yeah, solid power play. They'll be pleased with how that's gone. Only needing 8, no real risk required in the chase. Just a matter of building partnerships and yeah, not just knocking it around, I think, and running well into the pockets. Quite big boundaries.
Callum Parkinson to David William. Sorry, Chrislin, apologies. That's just a single. It will be Callum Parkinson to David Willie off the next ball. Tickets obviously available for the remaining games here at Wantage Road. I think next up is Lancashire on the 16th of June, so a little bit of a break here at Northampton as the lads go on a bit of a road trip over the next week. Tickets are available. It is David Willey off the mark with a single into the leg side. Good batting from these two, just rotating the strike. If you are listening and you're wondering where Sam Keir is this evening, he's been called up for test duty, Joe, so he's not with us whilst the test matches are on. I'm not going to tell you what he's up to, but he's on England duty. And that is a cracking shot by Chris Lynn. That's going to beat the fielder, and that's going to be 4 more.
Excellent timing from David Willey, wasn't it?
Yeah, beautiful shot. Beat the dive, didn't he, at cover, and gave Lewis Kimber no chance. He's sweeping down on the boundary in front of us here. Shorter that time from Callum Parkinson, a bit of bounce, so a good comeback. Quite looking forward to watching Ryan Ahmed have a bowl. I don't think he'll be that far away. And the dot ball to finish the over. So 7 runs off it, 57 for 1 after 7.
Yeah, and I think called that right. Looks like Ryan Ahmed's coming into the attack now, which will be an interesting matchup to see how batters go against the leg spin of Ahmed, knowing in those couple of games that were here last week that it was a bit of a collective team issue and threat for Steelbacks potentially. Yeah. See how he gets on. It's an interesting way to warm up. I've not seen that one before. Usually you just throw it to the guy at mid-off, but as he's got long off out, he's actually bowled a leg spinner to the man on the rope at long off. It's not very often I've seen that. Well, deep square leg, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off for the right-handed Chris Lynn. No one at short 45. Bit of a drag down to start from Ryan Ahmed, and Chris Lynn just muscles that one out to the shorter cover boundary.
Sorry about that. Just try to put the heating on.
Yeah, it's absolutely bolted.
Which
I mean, it looks lovely out there, but...
Well, I had a look over, and I was just about to say, I had a look over and saw the goosebumps, and I thought I'd better turn the radiators on. Cut away from David Willey. That's going to be another couple, isn't it, for Northants? Not really something you say that often on the 2nd of June, is it? I'll just turn the radiators on for a bit.
Yeah, energy prices what?
I mean, it doesn't matter when it's not coming out of our pocket, does it? So.
Sorry about us.
Where's that, Joe? Or they leave us up there and come back and see, like, find 2 ice cubes later on in the evening. Played into the offside for a single. I think that was Colin Ackerman, wasn't it? Doing a bit of a baby crawl across the square in an attempt to try and cut that one off. That almost looked a bit like slow motion cricket, didn't it, that?
Yeah, absolutely did.
Ahmed to Chris Lynn then. Well fielded this time by Colin Ackerman. That one just a little bit skiddy, didn't it? Looked like it kissed off the pitch nicely from Ryan Ahmed. And that has been pushed out to deep point. It's just going to be a single. So a good start so far from the Leicestershire leggy. 5 runs off 5 balls. David Willey picks up the shorter one, and that is not carried, I don't think. Had it carried, or was it a drop catch, Joe? What are you saying? Either way, David Willey survives and picks up a single. So 6 off Rayan Ahmed's first over. What do you reckon? Drop, or do you think that didn't carry?
No, I think it was a drop. I think it did die on him at the last minute. I reckon he's got underneath it.
Reckon?
I do. Or either that, he should have come forward to try and turn it into a catch. I think it was a little bit, I don't know, maybe naive in that he thought it was travelling to him. I mean, you could hear the sound off the bat. You knew that David Willey hadn't got all of it.
Yeah, down the ground. Colin Ackerman into the attack. So the Leicestershire captain is going to have a bowl. Yeah, one thing I think we can definitely agree on is I think the fielder definitely misjudged it. Whether it carried or whether it didn't, it was definitely a judgment of error. So a stroke of fortune for David Willey. Colin Ackerman, as I say, into the attack with some finger spin. Dot ball there for Chris Lynn. So he's 34 off 32. Kind of feels a bit insulting to call Colin Ackerman a bit of an occasional bowler when he picked up 7 for, didn't he, against the Bears a couple of years ago. That is a rank long op that beats absolutely everybody, including Harry Swindles. I think Chris Lynn might have been about a week early on that one. Cricket's the winner, I think, when you watch that one back.
Yeah, when he's got the world record T20 figures, don't know if you can call him a part-timer, but he's got quite a nice action.
I'm pretty sure he normally bowls finger spin, but to me, in my eyes, that looks like they're coming out as wristies.
Yeah, I think it is usually off breaks. Let's have another look.
That one wasn't off break.
Yeah, that one definitely was. Maybe he's doing a bit of the old Liam Livingstone. Leggies to the right-hander, offies to the left-hander. If anyone's got any intel regarding Colin Ackerman's skill set to left and right-handed batters, please let us know.
Chris Lynn advances. Chris Lynn goes all the way for 6, I think, over deep mid-wicket. 6 signalled by the umpire. First 6 of the evening for Chris Lynn. Is that the moment that Linsanity ignites at Wantage Road? I hope so. 40 for the Aussie, 40 off 34.
Yeah, and we said he likes scoring runs against the Foxes. 174 in the 2 games against them last year. 106 not out, obviously here. 68 at Grace Road, and he's moved on to his
slog sweep from David Willey. That won't carry again. Well fielded in the end by, I think that's Rishi Patel, isn't it, down in front of the
it is number
box.
26, Rishi Patel.
Down there.
I thought he'd got more of that than the one in the previous over, but it actually turned out that he's bounced quite a bit before the fielder compared to the other one.
Oof, was that a chance, or? I think so.
It must have bounced before it hit into Harry Swindles, you'd think.
Proper test match cricket shot that, wasn't it, from Chris Lynn?
Season's best for him so far. 40 not out, Chris Lynn.
Quicker this time from Rayan Ahmed, gets through Chris Lynn with a bit of extra bounce. Just 1 off the first 4 balls here for Rayan Ahmed. And there's a chance for a run out here. If he hits, Chris Lynn was nowhere to be seen. Colin Ackerman doesn't take the opportunity. So Chris Lynn picks up a single and lives to fight another day.
It's those 3 dots, isn't it? And then something happening on the 4th ball. You often do get a little run out chance, and he was a goner if it was a direct hit from the skipper, but he's still there.
And that is short from Rayan Ahmed, and that is massive from David Willey over the signal box, out of the ground, I think, as well. I think we might need a new cricket ball. Huge 6 from David Willey. 80 for 1 now, the score off 10 overs. So halfway through, the required run rate is about 9, just under 9, I think. So around about halfway, Joe, off 10 overs, chasing down 165, but that will definitely help the Steelbacks. That was a monster from David Willey.
Yeah, that was pretty big from Willey. One of the biggest ones of the night, that is for sure. New ball received. Yeah, just those 6s on the last ball of the last couple of overs have almost just dented the pressure that the Foxes were able to build up in the previous 5 balls. It's just a case of not quite being able to close out their overs. Callum Parkinson's 3rd over coming up. Hit into the ground from Lynn to the fielder at extra cover. But yeah, between Parkinson and Rayan Ahmed, their spin contributed. That's flat, that's going to be 6 from Lynn. Just ever so slightly short from Parkinson, and Lynn, he's been in 38 balls, so he's able to punch that over the boundary for a very flat 6. 47 off 40 balls for Chris Lynn.
Yeah,
Squarer this time, just be a single, I think.
You wouldn't fancy sat in the crowd, would you, on the end of one of those flat 6s from Chris Lynn? I think the chance went down in the crowd looking out the window. But I don't think there was a great deal of attempt to try and catch it.
No, that's it. It's got bruised hand written all over it, hasn't it? Parkinson's into Lynn. Just drives that out towards cover. They'll come through for a single. Steelbacks move up to 88 for 1, so 78 required. 77 required, sorry. Full guided through backward of point from Chris Lynn, and that'll be his 50. Coming up in 42 balls, the Australian. First 50 of the season, and 3rd time he's passed 50 in as many innings against the Foxes. 6 4s and 2 6s for him. Steered squarer this time from Lynn. He accelerates in order to try and come back for 2, but they don't. He'll get 1, keep the strike. 53 partnership between these two now. Going along nicely. 13 from the 11th over, and the Steelbacks require 72 off 9 overs. And as you can see, that intelligent cricket win predictor got the Steelbacks at a very healthy 87.5%, and I'd probably say that's the highest it's been throughout the entire Blast campaign. So we're hopeful, aren't we, Dan?
Always hopeful. And I think this innings from Chris Lynn, although I think he'd be the first to admit hasn't been his most fluent, but it's proving to be vital. And I think he's just starting, isn't he, to kind of feel like he's just kind of getting a bit of fluency back.
Yeah, and like I say, he's been out there he's faced 43 balls out of the 11 overs we've seen so far, and it's just a matter of just allowing yourself that time at the crease, get used to the pace of the wicket and the bowlers, etc. Short from Nazim Shah. pulled well out to the fielder at deep square by Chris Lynn. Yeah, and it's that kind of, I guess, international experience that is super helpful, isn't it, when you're chasing in any game, really. If you can have your internationals stick around and do a large chunk of the work, it takes the pressure off some of the other batters as well. But yeah, decent partnership from these two so far. Play and a miss from Willie, just a bit of extra bounce from Nazim Shah.
Yeah, in terms of the experience, and in particular run chases, I mean, there's not going to be much that these two haven't seen or experienced really in any stage, all the way from international down to their kind of youth days as well. That they're certainly not going to be intimidated by this situation. Obviously, Josh Cobb, I think, is carded next, and I mean, he's got almost as many T20 appearances as these two guys as well.
Guided down through third man, just for one, David Willey that time. Well controlled. Steelbacks 95 for 1. David Willey on 20, Chris Lynn 54. Halfway through the 12th over. Short, taking the pace off, hit well from Lynn, and that'll be 4. He waited for that one nicely. I think it was a change of pace from Nazim Shah, but he's managed to get it through the field and add another 4 onto his total. He moves on to 58. Steelbacks to 99.
Yeah, he's played that incredibly well, hasn't he? He's picked it and waited and then absolutely muscled it through. I think Naseem was a little bit disappointed by the fielding from Rishi Patel, but I don't think he stood much of a chance.
Pace on from Nazim.
Doesn't look that impressed, does he, Naseem Shah, with Chris Lynn so far this evening? There's been a few glares and a few stares and a few words here and there from the Pakistani international.
Yeah, just exhibiting fast bowler behaviour, really, isn't he, Nazim Shah? And don't really blame him. 1 for 14 for Nazim Shah. Final ball of his third over. Full Yorker length. Chris Lynn, will they come back for 2? No, just the 1. So Lynn will steal the strike again, and that brings up the Steelbacks 100. So 12 overs, Steelbacks 100 for 1. So just 65 required from 48 balls with the 9 wickets remaining. So very much in the driving seat, you would say, Steelbacks. It's going to be the left arm seam of Josh Hull to turn back into the attack.
I don't think Chris Lynn's going to afford him the same treatment as what he did in his first over, that I think would be fair to say was quite wayward, wasn't it? I think after 47 balls, I don't think he's going to get away with it again. So big pressure on Josh Hull coming back into the attack, isn't it?
It is. He's into right-handed Chris Lynn. And you called it, Dan. That'll be 6 over mid-wicket's head, and no respect, unfortunately, for Josh Hull. Just a little bit full in the slot, you might say. And when Chris Lynn's already faced 47 balls, sorry, in his innings, he's probably not going to miss out on that one, and he moves on to 65 from 48 deliveries.
It's nice when a plan comes together, isn't it?
Short this time, mistimed from Lynn. He hasn't got all of it, but I think they'll come back for a couple. Rishi Patel does the fielding. Yeah, not a bad reply from Josh Hull, don't mind that, just going slightly shorter. Hit the splice of Chris Lynn's bat, so Chris Lynn with his 48th T20 career 50 and his 5th in Steelbacks colours. Slapped, dismissed from Chris Lynn through mid-off for 4. Just a little bit of that width going across Lynn, and his hands aren't going to miss out on that.
That's brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah, you can see the strength and the power that Chris Lynn was able to get in behind that stroke, and he's taken Josh Hull for 12 from the first 3 balls of his second over. Short again. Is it going to be out? No. Has it gone all the way? Signal from square leg umpire is that it's 4. And Hull went short in response to the boundary. Not sure Chris Lynn knew too much about it, but he managed to get enough of it and pierce the gap just wide of the man at fine leg. Was it a chance?
I don't think so, no.
I think it was wide enough of him, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like swatting wasps at a picnic, wasn't it? That kind of shot from Chris Lynn. You wouldn't want to be a wasp getting in the way of Chris Lynn's cricket bat, that's for sure. At a family picnic, I think you could be going miles.
Response is a dot this time from Hull after going for 16 from the previous few balls, and there's not too many people that you'd want to be bowling at when they are 75 not out. Chris Lynn is certainly up there on a list that Josh Hull wouldn't have wanted, I'm sure. He'll be looking to get him out. Final ball of the over. Full, hit hard, and that'll be 4 as well to Chris Lynn. So it'll be 20 from Josh Hull's second over. No fielder there. Chris Lynn went hard at that one. Thick outside edge, you'd say, over the man at point. Steelbacks 120 for 1 at the end of the 13th. An expensive one for the young Josh Hull.
Yeah, it's a risk worth taking, I think, for the Foxes. They're light on seamers, aren't they, today, with Vian Mulder missing out through injury and just having the 3 with Josh Hull being 1 with Naveen and Naseem. It would have been an over of spin that they would have had to have found from somewhere. Either Ackerman would have had to have got another one through, but I'd be surprised now, I think, if Josh Hull gets a 3rd. I think we're going to see Colin Ackerman's going to have to bowl that extra over. Rayan Ahmed's got 2 left, so we assume he'll bowl those 2. Callum Parkinson's got 1 as well.
Yeah, and it's going to be Naveen. Sure, up in the air, gone out towards square leg. Catch taken. So David Willey has to go. Catch taken down there by Rishi Patel. Just looked like he didn't quite get enough of it. Just got underneath the ball, went pretty high. And David Willey, unfortunately, has to go. So that partnership worth 81, I believe. Very valuable for the Steelbacks indeed, but Willie's gone for 20. Brings Saif Zaib out at number 4 as opposed to Josh Cobb, potentially just keeping the left-hand, right-hand combination going with that slightly shorter side where David Willey was just dismissed.
Yeah, reward there, wasn't it, for the Leicestershire seamers who have run in and bowled quick all day, including Josh Hull in that conversation. He's not hung about, but Naveen and Naseem certainly run in and putting a serious shift in for the Foxes. So reward for Naveen. I think the shot was on, just didn't quite get enough of it, did he?
Yeah, and I don't think it perhaps bounced as much as Willie was anticipating either. You can just see he kind of just was a bit sunken in his shape that he got into as he played the stroke. Safe Zabe. Short and just patted back down the wicket from Safe Zabe. Not had a bad start to the season. Safe Zabe showed signs of promise of what he's about. Steered the team home on Monday in that chase up at Derbyshire. Very confident 37 not out from the young left-hander. Squared him up a bit there, just steered out into the offside, and it's a good start in response from Naveen, backing up that over of 20 previous one from Josh Holt. What the Foxes are after, as the Steelbacks just need 45 from 39 balls, as demonstrated by the Intelligent Cricket win predictor. Got the Steelbacks at 95% at the moment. Playing a miss from Zabe, tried to give himself room, try and hit it over cover point sort of region. Didn't quite get hold of it that time.
Yeah, still absolutely no need to panic though, is there, Joe? Like, Safe can afford himself a little bit of time at the crease before he really has to get going. That over from Josh Holt, the one before, where Chris Lynn moved himself up to 79, has done a serious bit of heavy lifting in this run chase.
The peel for a strangle down the leg side, but didn't have too much conviction, and I'm not sure Safe actually got anywhere near it, but I guess worth a shout at this stage if you're a Leicestershire fan. This has been an excellent over from Naveen. And if you're Safe Zabe, you probably just want to knock it down, get Chris Lynn back on strike. He's just hit 20 off the previous over, so Dan's absolutely right. No need to take any risk. Final ball of the over. Slower ball down the leg side, and that'll be a wide. Disappointing to bowl the sixth ball down the leg side from Naveen. I'll just look over to my left and I can see the sun shining.
I think that's the moon, Joe.
Moon, sorry. I meant the moon. I've gone delirious and she just popped off.
So I had to shut the door. I was getting hypothermic.
Final ball of the over, and it's a dot this time. So just a one run from it and the wicket. The wide that Naveen bowled. So Steelbacks 121 for 2 at the end of the 40. Again, just saying, Safe Zabe's on strike. He's just wanting to get Chris Lynn back on strike, isn't he? He doesn't need to do anything other than just nudge it into one of the gaps.
No, and as well, kind of pointed out by our cameraman Ben, that is
definitely the moon.
Definitely the moon.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
We don't mind it though. We don't mind it.
It's going to be third over for Rayan Ahmed.
Change of ends and a change of fortune the Foxes will be hoping for here, won't they, for Rayan?
Yeah, and you'd say this is probably the most threatening matchup in terms of Chris Lynn. But he's hit that one square enough out to the fielder on the offside and come through for a single. But yeah, now that Chris Lynn's got in, 80 not out, really important for him to be the man to steer the Steelbacks over the line here, you'd think, and hopefully give some confidence to Safe Zabe at the other end and almost just steer him through his own innings, you would imagine.
Yeah, I think, as I said, I think Safe can afford himself a little bit of time. He'll be quite happy, I think, facing off against spin. Quite happy to play the sweeps and reverse sweeps, as we've seen and spoken to him earlier on in the campaign.
Just a bit like that, but finds the man at short third this time, attempting the reverse sweep.
I teed him up, didn't I?
Yeah.
Didn't quite materialise, but I think you're right. I think he can just bat with Chris here. I don't think he needs to do anything daft.
He's gone for the reverse sweep again. This time deflects off his bat. Goes to the man at short third, and he gets himself off the mark. 7th delivery. But yeah, he's going to keep coming at you, isn't he, with those sweeps and reverses. He backs himself to do that, much like many people would probably back himself to nudge it into the leg side, and that's pretty wide from Rayan Ahmed. He saw Chris Lynn go, followed him, but was almost off the strip. So we'll bowl that one again. Short, swept hard from Chris Lynn. Out to the fielder on the square leg rope. Not Chris Lynn's first option to sweep, but he played it well there.
No, I think that's quite a long way down the list of shots in his selection box, isn't it? The size of Chris Lynn's arms, it doesn't really need to do that either.
Dragged down from Rayan Ahmed and helped around the corner from Safe Save, so he gets his first 4 of his innings. He moves on to 5. Just a bit of a drag down, wasn't it? Wasn't going to miss out on that. Steelbacks 129 for 2, so 36 required when the scoreboard updates. Again, short, cut hard by Safe Save, but that man is at deep point. Comes through for a single, so Safe will keep the strike, and I'll hand back over to you for the final 5, Dan.
Thank you very much, Joe. So we've got, 5 overs to go, as Joe's just said. Naseem's got an over left, who I think is going to bowl his 4th over now. Callum Parkinson's got 1. Naveen or Hack's got 1. Josh Hole's obviously got 2, which I think we were both in agreement. We don't think we'll be seeing Josh Hole again this evening. And Rayan Ahmed's got 1 as well. So a couple of options there, but I think we are going to have to see an over from either Colin Ackerman or Josh Hull, assuming it goes the distance. But 35 off 30 then for the Steelbacks to win their first game at Wantage Road in the 2023 T20 Blast. So Naseem Shah to Safe Save. Quick, and that has hurt. I hope he's all right, because that looks incredibly painful. Safe Save has middled that back at Naseem. Naseem unable to get out of the way of that, and that's gone straight on the knee, isn't it?
Safe would just be disappointed that it was a dot.
I thought he might have ended up picking up a single after the first touch from Naseem Shah, but fortunately, at the moment anyway, he looks like he's okay to continue. He's got a little bit of a limp on, isn't he, as he gets back to his mark, which I think can be excused. But in he comes, the Pakistani international. Short from Naseem Shah. I don't think he took kindly. Didn't take kindly to this Safe Save clonking him on the knee there, did he? And if I was a betting man, I would have put probably my house on that next one being a short, fast one from Naseem Shah as a don't do that again.
It was absolutely rapid.
Yeah.
I reckon that's the quickest ball we've seen all evening.
I think so. Quite possibly the quickest ball we've seen all tournament here as well. I don't think there's many people in the world that are going to bowl quicker than Naseem Shah, that's for sure. Slower ball this time. Safe Save through his shot. It's going to be a really, really tricky matchup, this for Safe, isn't it? Against a guy with so much skill and experience, which sounds a slightly confusing thing to say at 20 years old, but I mean, he's done it all, Naseem Shah.
Yeah, he absolutely has. And like you say, it's a really good challenge and a test for safe save.
And that is beautifully played by Safe Save, who is well and truly up for this challenge. Over cover and 4 for the Northants batter, Safe Save. So he moves to 10, 134 for 2 the score. 31 required off 26 balls. 2 balls remaining in this Naseem Shah over, and that was a lovely looking shot over the offside.
It was, and I'm sure he was pleased that one was a bit closer to his half, so he could throw his hands through it, get the elevation required, and yeah, nice boundary.
Brings a change of angle from Naseem Shah, so something else for Safe to think about. And quick from Naseem Shah, who just extends the follow through there slightly and has a bit of a polite inquiry. I think Kristlyn looks like a bouncer at a nightclub there, doesn't he? Just escort you back out to escort you back outside, and we'll have no more of that. Although the umpires found it quite funny.
It's a lovely dynamic that we've had going on with Naseem Shah and the batters in this inning, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of that competitive, fiery nature.
That's flicked into the leg side. There is an opportunity for 2, but I don't think it's particularly required at this stage of the game. So it's just 1 off the final ball of Naseem's spell. I think there's a couple more words from Naseem to Safe Save, but Safe Save's won that. He's 11 not out, and the Steelbacks are 135 for 2. So 30 required off the last 4 overs. Kristlyn on 81, he'll be at the non-strikers end. And Naseem Shah, 4 overs, no maidens, 1 for 20. It's been really, really enjoyable to watch, hasn't he, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost just watching like the battles within the battles has been fascinating, and he's mixed his pace well. You can tell how much experience and stuff he's gotten, and it's really impressive for a guy, obviously just aged 20, made his first class debut aged 15 and his test debut just a year later, so it tells you everything you need to know about his quality.
Callum Parkinson then into the attack. He's going to bowl his last over. Yeah, just the last thing to say about Naseem, he said 16 years old. He was the 9th youngest player to play Test cricket in history. Just to finish off waxing lyrical about Naseem Shah, we'll start talking about Callum Parkinson instead. Kristlyn then on 81. 81 off 55, striking at 147 then. Callum Parkinson just going under 10s. And that's a slog sweep from Kristlyn. That's massive. That's out of the ground. See you later. Kristlyn moves to 87. Slog sweep. He said it's not that high on his list of shots to play, but it's quite good at it.
Yeah, that's it. Once he's probably seeing it a bit more like a beach ball now, and that was full in the slot and dispatched from Kristlyn.
Dot ball, good comeback from Callum Parkinson. I thought Kristlyn might have been shaping up for that one again there. Just gave himself a bit of room, didn't he? Opened up the leg side, but I think Callum Parkinson was up to the task and a good comeback. And again, I think Kristlyn eyeing up that shorter leg side. That one fired in from Callum Parkinson this time. So a good comeback after the slog sweep from Kristlyn. And that is down the ground from Kristlyn. That's 4 more. Muscled this time back over the bowler. Kristlyn moves into the 90s, 146 for 2. 19 to win off 19 balls. The win predictor from Intelligent Cricket is currently showing 95.9, 95.5, apologies, but I think that might change after that last boundary. Powered into the offside this time, just 1 for Kristlyn, who moves to 92 and will keep the strike. So 92 runs for the Australian Kristlyn. 18 off 18 required for Northamptonshire, 147 for 2. the Steelbacks, and I am not going to ask you the question that I want to ask, and I'm not going to talk about it either.
And you know exactly what we're all thinking.
And hoping.
Yeah, absolutely correct. And I was just going to say, after there'd been those couple of dots where he hit them straight back at Callum Parkinson, I thought he's definitely going down the ground this time. And lo and behold, slapped it straight over his head for another boundary.
Yeah, so Naveen ul Haq will bowl his last over. He's currently got 3 overs, no maidens, 1 for 21, and Chris Lynn is on strike. And that is into the leg side. I think that's just going to be a leg bye, isn't it? For no, it isn't. That's been given as runs. So Chris Lynn moves to 93. Single off the first, and Safe Saib will be on strike. I've tried the heating on in here, Joe. I've shut the door and I'm still cold, so I've got no further options.
I've got nothing left.
No. Literally thrown everything at it, other than bringing up one of those pyro boxes down below us into the box. I think that's our last option. Naveen to Zabe. And Safe Saib's tried to get inside that and work that down to fine leg, but didn't quite get enough of it, and just gets a single. Harry Swindles tidies up. So Chris Lynn on strike then, 93 now. You can tell the suspense has just kind of raised a little bit around the ground, isn't it? Just quietened down slightly. The hum of the Northants fans has just dipped as the Aussies on strike. And that's swatted into the leg side, and he picks up a single, so that's 150 up for Northamptonshire. Just 15 to win now, 15 balls. Change in the field. Josh Hull comes up from fine leg into the circle, and a man goes out at deep mid wicket. Possibly going to be short then from Naveen. It's not, but Safe Saib drops that one into the offside down to Callum Parkinson, fielding at deep third for a single. So 14 off 14. Nothing silly now.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, has he got any interest in trying to clear the ropes, or is he just going to play nice and calmly?
It's an opportunity for both, isn't there? But obviously the team win is going to be far more important. It's defended into the offside from Chris Lynn. So 14 off 13 now, the requirement for the Steelbacks. Last ball of Naveen ul Haq's evening is coming up. That's tucked into the leg side, and Chris Lynn will pick up a single off the last ball of Naveen ul Haq. Chris Lynn moves to 95, 13 then required off the last 2 overs. We have got options of Rayan Ahmed, Colin Ackerman and Josh Hull. Joe, unless they're going to pick a wild card out from the rest of the squad, looks like Rayan Ahmed's going to bowl his 4th over from the Lynn Wilson centre end with Chris Lynn on strike.
And he's done it. He's done his little practice delivery to his man at long on, as we saw earlier. I think I mentioned when I was on that he bowled a practice ball to long off, and it's really not very often you see that, is it? It's not bothered about chucking it to Colin Ackerman at extra cover. I wonder what Chris Lynn's going to do here.
It's down the ground. Chris Lynn's going to pick up a single is what he's going to do. As I think a few boos and jest go around the ground at Wantage Road as they wanted to see Chris Lynn on strike. He moves to 96. I'm sure Safe Save will be doing. He knows the script. He knows what to do. He's played this game before, hasn't he? Get your mate back on strike. It's a mis-stumping from Harry Swindles, but he does indeed get Chris Lynn back on strike.
Did the job.
Wasn't quite how I thought it was going to go,
Yeah,
I must admit.
Just maybe not how we had perhaps anticipated.
Ryan Ahmed to Chris Lynn. Chris Lynn, slog sweep, it's gone up. Has it gone all the way? It has. Chris Lynn picks up 6. Chris Lynn makes 100, takes his helmet off, salutes his teammates in the pavilion. 102 off 66 balls for Chris Lynn. And what an innings that has been. What an experience. He soaks up the applause around the ground. That's been great, Joe.
Superb from Chris Lynn, his 3rd 100 here for the Steelbacks. His 2nd against the Foxes. Excellent from him.
And that's 4 more for Chris Lynn. He picks the gap into the offside. 106 now for the Aussie. And just 1 run to win now.
Yeah, he's played superbly, hasn't he? Just like how we know he can, and hate to bring it up, but he was the guy I fancied it pre-match, and he's delivered on all accounts for us here. Another absolute treat of a Chris Lynn innings.
And that is 4 to finish. Chris Lynn raises his bat, raises his fist, helmet off. He finishes 110 not out. And the Northants Steelbacks beat the Foxes by 8 wickets here at Wantage Road for their first win at home in the Blast. I've really enjoyed that, Joe. That's been great fun.
Yeah, superb. As you can hear in the background, cries of Sweet Caroline. Crowd will be pleased with that one tonight, and it's that man on your screen, Chris Lynn. He'll be thrilled with his performance this evening, and the Steelbacks a much better all-round performance, and just really intelligent cricket from him, and guiding the team home, chasing down that 164. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Handshakes all round, and a well-deserved win for the Steelbacks. As it says on screen, we'll be at home next on June the 16th against Lancashire. So get your tickets ahead of that game as the Steelbacks go on a little bit of a road trip around the north of England. But that is a comprehensive win. It's a statement win. And hopefully it's a win that kind of generates a bit of momentum in the camp and that they can take forward over the next week. I think they've got Worcester, Durham over the next couple of days, so some games that I think the squad would really kind of back themselves to go off and win on this road trip. String a few wins together and you kind of start looking a bit tasty in the table as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. I think it's just a demonstration that these guys know how much potential they've got, and when they bring it all together, how dangerous they can be. And don't get me wrong, they probably didn't even fire on perfectly on all formats, so I think that says a lot. But really important that Chris Lynn got his campaign properly underway. You know, we've seen a few starts from him, and it's just pretty much replicating exactly how he played against these guys last year. But I almost think it's more of a statement in a chase when you can go and score 110 out of your team's 168. Just a real show of class from Chris Lynn, and yeah, the guys will all be getting around each other and enjoying this one, and hopefully, as you say, Dan, it's a sign of momentum changing for the Steelbacks, and they can string a few more wins together.
Definitely, yeah. It'll be a good dressing room to be in tonight, won't it? I'm sure the club song will be sung loud and proud, won't it, tonight? Fantastic win, 8 wickets, as I say. Joe, you reminded everybody that you picked Chris Lynn as your one to watch for the evening, so well done for not letting anybody forget about that one, which I must admit I had, so I'm glad that you did bring that back up. But it's been a lot of fun. I don't know if you've got anything more that you want to chat about before we call it an evening?
Not particularly. I think that's just a good way for us to sign off from this little break that we've got. Hopefully they'll get a few wins on the board on the road, and then come back here on the 16th against the likes of Liam Livingston, Joss Butler, against Lancashire Lightning, and yeah, that'll be another high octane thriller, you would think, with some real international talent. But yeah, no, just brilliant that they managed to get a win here at home.
Yep, well, it's been good fun to talk about it. It's been good fun commentating on it. The stream powered by Dafabet. Once again, thanks everybody for joining us throughout the evening. I've been Dan Jadzovic. I've been joined by Joe Gardner all evening. Thank you for your company, and we'll see you in a fortnight.